What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Thursday, June 13th.
Big day.
A little closer to the weekend. We had the oh, there goes Lukas. He'll be back. U.S. Open. Hey, I'm locked in, fellas. I'm locked in.
Jeff's turned into a golf fan. Do you want me to tell? I won't do it.
Student of the game. Student of the game, Jeffrey.
I was trying to process what was going on. Trying my best. So that, you know what? It was actually a fun watch. I'm not gonna lie to you.
The texts that I was getting from Jeff today about the U.S. Open just were some of the funniest texts I've ever. It was unbelievable. I'm not gonna say them because I don't want to do that to my guy, but there was a couple that were just like, "All right, dude, this is how it works, bro. Hey, brother,
curious.
This is how it works."
Yeah,
no,
I forgot the R in Rory's name. So,
text me and said, "Hey, Roy McIlroy's going nuts right now." And I was like, "Roy."
That's fair. He was going nuts.
And then he texted me. He texted me right after about Roy and was like, "Dude, he's like 9 under right now or something." Or like at first he was like he's 2 under, and then he texted me right after. He goes, "No, he's actually 9 under, and Scotty Scheffler's right behind him at 7 or something." And I'm like, "What tournament is this guy watching, dude?" I was like, I texted back. I was like, "Bro, I would love to know what you're watching right now because that's not what's happening." Like it was hilarious.
Yeah, I texted you, and then I was like, I don't know if that's right. And then I looked at the leaderboard. Then I was like, wait, oh yeah, it was right. So I was like overthinking it, bro. When I was sending,
I don't even know how you got to 9 under. Like I was just like, I was looking everywhere. Like, how did you get that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't ask me.
That's the first time you've actually like tapped into golf.
I would say yeah. What's
your overall thoughts now that you played a little bit? You got out on the course. How did you like watching it?
I think it's more fun when you play. Now that if you're playing, it's more fun to watch because you know that's how it is for other sports too. Like if you like playing a sport, it's probably more fun to watch that said sport. You know, like golf. You know what? I enjoyed myself. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was fun to tune in. I was locked in. Detroit Golf Club. Hey, you got a couple weeks. You boys will be down there.
Oh yeah.
Representing Crunch Time. So we got that in a couple weeks.
Shaking hands, baby.
But we got a lot to get into today. We're gonna go through and talk a little bit about the NFC North because number one, NFL Network's own Adam Brain came out with his record prediction for the NFC North because he is a notable Bears fan, and I don't want to give anything away, but we'll break what he said down later in the show. I believe PFF came out with their own graphic with percentages to win the NFC North. And you'll see who leads that and who's in second and third and fourth place. Also, later in the show, we're going to go through Jahmyr Gibbs, Scotty Montgomery mentioning how he's going to be more of a receiving threat. So we'll also break that down as well. And we're going to do a fun segment, which we've never done before. It's called Buy, Sell, and Hold Stock. It's the Detroit Lions stock market. And we're going to go through players. We're going to go through players, buy, sell, hold in terms of their stock. So that'll be some fun as well. But boys, how we doing on this Thursday? Mike, I see you got the Crunch Time hat.
Beautiful hat.
I like it.
Beautiful hat. Check it out.
Come on, what do you get? Let's look at that thing.
And I got the shirt.
It's beautiful.
And he's got the shirt. Oh, you know what? Love it. And it's important because we get to see the products in person. So then we can then make some adjustments on, what we should do. Because obviously we don't, this kind of a sample product we're getting here. So please provide feedback. What you
good
like,
or bad.
We're listening to everything. So we're always, we're not going to be upset. We're always going to, we want to make the people happy with really the merchandise. Because that's what it meant. There's certain outlets, and I'm sure in sports or in any clothing brand that probably tries to get the highest margin so they can just pump out shitty clothing with their logo on it. We want to make quality clothing. So we want feedback on everything. I see Jason just got my Lions merch today.
There you go, Jason. Let's go.
Crunch Time shirt today. Yeah. Well, let us know.
Yeah. If you like it, if you don't, like everything, the materials, anything. So we can just keep upgrading, get better. Making sure that people are getting the best quality.
Yeah, I see the people talking about someone here locally, another company getting hacked today. Huh? I mean, that's just.
I got hacked too.
Yeah,
somehow.
I almost bought that PS5, Booner. It was a great offer. You reeled me in. You almost had me.
I don't know what you're talking about. I got hacked. Someone else did that. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, well, gotta watch out. Can't click those links. I don't know what's going on. Links are being clicked, or
damn shame.
You know, it gotta. Gotta watch out for those links, man. You just got to. I see. Let me see. I want to read this comment here because Steve says large runs a little snug. Either that or I'm getting fat. Okay, well, that's fair. Yeah, that's one thing. I looked into a couple of the products. It says order a size up, but I ordered something for myself, and I ordered the exact size I am. So I'm curious how that works out too. But
I'm one of those guys that's like in between sizes. So like I don't know whatever. Like I'll never know what to do. So I'll probably order up. It sounds like.
I will admit this one is a little tighter on the arms than I expected, but like the actual feel of it is nice. Just a little tight on the arms.
That's good. You know, you need a little, you know.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, Gentry.
A little bit of a pump there, Gentry.
Yeah, that's what it's about, fellas. Well, I'll tell you one thing to kind of transition here. That Jared Goff contract's looking better by the minute, by the day, because Trevor Lawrence just signed a massive extension to stay with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he's getting on average $55 million per year. That puts him right up there with Joe Burrow at 55, Jared Goff's at 53. And then you have Justin Herbert at 52.5, Lamar 52, Hurts 51, Kyler Murray 46, Deshaun Watson 46, Kirk Cousins 45, and Mahomes 45. But Mahomes just worked his contract to benefit the team, so that's all right. He would be the number one. He would be the highest paid.
His O's is changing too every year.
Yeah. What about Booner? You tweeted something out. What are the exact specifics of the contract? Do you know?
Yeah, so it's essentially like you saw on there, it's $55 million a year, $200 million guaranteed essentially. So I believe it's 275 over 5 years, $200 million guaranteed, which comes out to 55 a year. I do think it's like as now when the Jared Goff deal got done, and we can go back and maybe clip it and post it a little bit later. But I did bring up and I listed off a bunch of quarterbacks throughout this offseason and going into and as well as next offseason who will all start to get paid. And as you start to see that happening, you're going to see guys like we have already heard Jordan Love will have a deal done before training camp, and I'm sure it's going to be around the 55 million plus range. Same with Tua Tagovailoa. He's already turned down one deal looking for the same number as Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence. Brock Purdy's going to be due for a deal soon. Like there's going to be guys, Dak Prescott, that's the big one. Dak, either this offseason or next offseason, is going to get paid an insane amount. So like seeing 55 million, you see 200 million guaranteed. Detroit Lions got Jared Goff at 53 a year for 170 million guaranteed. At the time, everyone's like, oh my gosh, why are you paying Jared Goff this much money? Obviously, we weren't. We understood kind of what was happening, and you do have to pay your franchise guy. And if you think you can win a Super Bowl with him, like I'm all in on paying Jared Goff. But there are those people who still want to question, oh, that contract's sketchy. Oh, in 2026, he's got a big cap hit. You have to understand the way the contract, like within the next 2 seasons, within the next year or two, Jared Goff's going to be 8th on this list. Quarterbacks are going to start passing him up. And in Brad Holmes, kudos to him. Every time now we're going to see a quarterback contract pop up this offseason, we're going to have the same conversations that it's kudos to Brad Holmes for being the very first, essentially, GM this offseason to go out and sign their quarterback to that deal. So he essentially sets that market to where it's, he doesn't have to follow whatever. Because if Trevor Lawrence would have gotten this deal a couple weeks before Jared Goff, I'm sure maybe you might have seen Jared Goff get this similar deal. Like that's just how it works. So shout out to Brad Holmes, man. I feel like now we're starting to see what's that saying, boys? I always ask you guys about sayings, fruits of our labor or something, or is that what it is?
What was it?
Well,
Fruits
it depends. I mean, in this instance, I think yesterday's price is not today's price.
Well, that too, yeah. I was just basically saying Brad Holmes, his work of doing it early, being smart, it's starting to pay off a little bit, and it's going to continue to pay off. And it's going to continue to pay off when Brock signs, when Tua signs, when Dak signs, when Jordan Love signs, and it's going to continue to pay off what Brad Holmes did a couple weeks ago. So shout out to Brad Holmes every single time.
obviously, like you said, Booner, Brad being the first domino to fall and getting that out of the way kind of set us up for success with Jared Goff's contract. But Jeff, I wanted to know what about you? I mean, you're a big Trevor Lawrence guy. I think Trevor's been good. He obviously hasn't been great by any means. And I know there's really not much to say because this is kind of just how the market goes and what the market demands. You kind of just got to pay them. I mean, they don't really have any other options at quarterback. Can't just reset when you have a guy like Trevor Lawrence just sitting there. So do you think he deserves this? Or did you expect it to be this high?
Well, I think the word deserves gets thrown around a lot. I don't think it's – I know people want to bring up last year and, the Jags were 8-3 and then they absolutely collapsed. But I think it comes down to two things. One, it's what the market dictates, so they have to pay it. But also, two, you're basically paying him, and this isn't news to anybody, but you're paying him on projection. You're paying him on what he can be, what he will turn into. I mean, he had a really good season, not last, but the year prior. It was like 25 TDs, 7 interceptions, 28, whatever it is, 8 interceptions. And he showed growth. Obviously, rookie year with Urban Meyer didn't look good, but last year he was dealing with some things and he didn't look great last year either. But they're banking, like ETN said, they're banking on his potential. You're paying for projection. And I still like Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's only going to get better. I know why people would see this and be like, oh my gosh, the Jags are stuck with Trevor Lawrence. You have to understand too, the Jacksonville Jaguars, this is the best quarterback they've had in quite some time. Like, this is a breath of fresh air to them, at least having Trevor Lawrence and them wanting to keep him around for a long period of time. I don't blame them. Having a quarterback, you have a chance in this league. And if Trevor Lawrence ends up panning out and being really, really good, they have a chance. So yeah, I think this makes perfect sense for Jacksonville. And the number is the number. I mean, we can debate it all you want, but again, there's going to be guys that aren't deserving getting paid more, like Dak Prescott. He's going to get paid damn near 60. Does he deserve it? No, but it's what the market dictates.
To that point, Jeff, and you hear it all the time around the NFL. I heard it actually the other day, and Pat McAfee brought it up because they were talking contracts as well a couple days ago, and he said what people don't understand with NFL contracts is you do see big numbers and you see all of this. Guys don't get paid in this league for essentially like the numbers they put up last year. Like, yeah, that's an idea, but essentially you're getting paid for the numbers that you're going to put up next year and the year after that and the year after that. That's the price that you get. And that was when Pat kind of broke that down and explained it and made sense, because there are a lot of guys like the Christian Kirk deal. Like, there are guys who end up getting paid to where it's like, hey, this is what we expect him to do for us next year. We're going to pay him for that. Obviously, he didn't do it last year, and I think it's the same thing with Trevor Lawrence. And I think too, I know he didn't have a great year last year. I know I think most of us were pretty high on him. I do think he bounces back. I think last year seemed like a one-off year in the whole organization there. So I do think this year you're going to see a little bit more out of Trevor Lawrence, and they're kind of projecting that. That's just the way you have to pay a quarterback now. That's the quarterback. That's the price for a franchise quarterback essentially now, unless you just have an average guy, and Trevor Lawrence just isn't average.
Yeah, I mean that's what it comes down to. You have a quarterback, you have a chance. You have a good quarterback, you have a really good chance. And that's what the Jags presumably that's what they think of Trevor Lawrence. So it's the same reason why the Lions extended Jared Goff. Look at what he's done for them. Now, different reasons, because Jared's in a different part of his career. He made an NFC Championship game. He's made 2 of them. He's made a Super Bowl. Like, he's done more and accomplished more. But Trevor's younger. It's his first contract. You got to also factor that into it as well, right? It's his first time getting paid. And guys like that, young quarterbacks that are only growing, that's the guys who usually reset. Like, I bet Jordan Love's going to get a boatload. He's going to get a lot amount. Because, again, that you're paying on potential. That was the conversation that Pat McAfee that they brought up, was the Jordan Love contract. And they were asking him, like someone they had on the show, they were asking, like, obviously he only had a good half of a season. And Pat was like, listen, in the NFL, when you're doing these deals and the agents are sitting down with teams and GMs, they're not going like, yeah, you're going to look at numbers and kind of put where your price is. And that's the thing. But like a Jordan Love, you're looking at like, what is he going to do for you the next 4 years? And those agents are going to go in there and they're going to put their foot down and say, this is what the projections are for my player. This is what he deserves. And this is where he lands. So Jordan Love's like, Jordan Love's going to get more than Trevor Lawrence, or the same amount of Trevor Lawrence, if not maybe a little more. I would think.
at least. Like if I had to project,
he will.
What do you guys think for Tua?
See, that's another
Probably
thing.
53, 55.
He's
I think
gonna
he'll
get
just
paid.
be Jared Goff.
And am I a huge fan of Tua? I think Tua's fine. I think he's in a perfect situation. So I think the Dolphins have leverage as well, but also same with the Dolphins. I mean, name the last great quarterback they've had, and Tua, although he's not a top tier quarterback, like again, it's, they want to keep him around, and that's the scary part. Like, he's going to get paid. A lot of people are going to be upset with it. I don't agree with the number probably he's going to get, but it's the reality of doing business. Like, he'll probably get, I see Detroit supremacy 55.5 to 56 for Tua. Like, yeah, I would not be surprised. And Tua can't win in any weather but Miami, hot weather. So that's a whole nother thing.
I wonder what that contract was that he declined. Like he was like, I don't want to do it. I wonder if that was like a $53 million a year, like a Jared Goff deal, or maybe they came quick and they're like, hey, 48. Let's do 48. And he's like, whoa.
If he's denying it, he had to hold out for a legitimate reason, and obviously those other quarterbacks getting paid just made him probably $10 more million a year. So,
yeah, I'm interested in that one because that one I think is going to get done, this offseason. The Jordan Love one should be done in the next month, so I'm interested to see that. That's to me like
he might get 57, 58.
Yeah. And I don't think the Dak one gets done this summer, too, honestly. I think he waits.
He already said it. He already came out and said he's comfortable playing this last year without a deal this upcoming year. So
who's the Cowboys fan? There was a Cowboys fan that was having a conversation and was saying how, like, Dak, honestly, at the end of the day, has nothing to lose. Like, you play, even if you get hurt next year, you're an unrestricted free agent. You don't have any restrictions, and there are going to be a lot of football teams out there. And as much as we hate Dak, there's going to be a lot of organizations that are like, we'll pay you 60 plus million, whether you're coming off an injury or not. Like, look what Deshaun Watson's gotten a couple years ago. Like, Dak will get paid injured or not injured this year. So, like, he might as well play instead of just take like a cheaper deal in Dallas.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, that's what it is, especially for organizations, again, like the Browns, going back to quarterbacks. They wanted a good quarterback, or at least they thought they were getting Deshaun Watson from before all the stuff that kind of came out there. I see, I know people putting Trevor stats in here. And again, like we're going to move past this in a couple of minutes, but I think it's important to look at a lot of context. Like, he did not play well last year. No, but I think you're kidding yourself if you don't think there's potential with Trevor Lawrence. Like, he is one of the greatest high school prospects, college prospects, and even in the NFL, he's had a great year, so it's not like the dude's just been a bust the entirety of his career. So we'll see. Maybe it goes the opposite way and he never pans out. I highly doubt that. And you can't be like, oh, the Jags are idiots for paying him. Actually, I disagree with that. I think they had to lock him up. That's what they had to do.
I do agree they had to pay him, and with all the potential, I still think he can be a great quarterback, but the Jags offense definitely got worse by acquiring Gabe Davis and letting go Calvin Ridley. So there is still some cause for concern. They didn't get better on the offensive side of the ball. They actually got worse, and you paid your quarterback. So,
yeah, but Gentry, they added Brian Thomas Jr., so they got rid of Calvin, but they got an elite. That was one of my favorite. Me and you, that was our favorite.
That is true.
They got Brian Thomas Jr., so that they replaced Calvin Ridley with him on a rookie deal. So,
but he still is a rookie, and I still think he will go nuts eventually. But he still will have to go through that rookie curve and whatnot. But
yeah, he's a little more raw.
Gabe Davis, Booner, I know that's your guy, but he is fucking ass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, if you have Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Brian Thomas Jr.,
Kirk's a baller.
Which I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to end up being really, really good. I think like that's a good three right there to have. And then you still have Evan Ingram.
Well, who else they have? They had Zay Jones. They had Zay Jones, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk last year.
Yes, Travis Etienne.
So Brian Thomas, Christian Kirk.
Gentry, as you lay it out there, that's a good offense, brother.
Yeah, because they got rid of Zay Jones and they replaced him.
They?
Yeah, he's with the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
I don't hate this.
They definitely got worse, not by a huge margin, but they did get worse.
I don't hate it. Tank Gibbsby or whatever his name, dog.
Bigsby.
That sounds like that's a Klotzy guy. I see Klotzy off in the distance here. That's a Klotzy guy. Hey, real quick, Jeff, I thought you were gonna say for a second. I thought you were gonna cut it off like. I thought you were gonna cut it off after he was a great high school recruit. He was the #1 high school recruit of all time, and I thought you were just gonna stop there. And I was like, oh, whoa, dude! Like he just got a contract for that. And then you kept going, but it almost threw me off for a second.
No, I mean that's his resume. Like who he is. I mean, he was the de facto #1 overall pick. Like
I do want to ask this. Stephen David said Booner asked for the fellas Tua or Trevor. I'd go Trevor all day, 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I would be shocked if anyone picked Tua. To be honest with you, I'm assuming Mike would go Trevor too.
Yeah, no, I would. I drafted Trevor in my fantasy league. Obviously, it didn't pan out, but
yeah, I just like the two.
Win some, you lose some.
Tua just put up a ton of numbers because he had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That was essentially it. That's how I look at it. I think he's a good he's a very fine quarterback, as Jeff would say. Very fine quarterback.
Very fine.
Well, I know one person who will put up a lot of numbers, and as Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions, and he'll be starring in a new Netflix show, Receiver, which we've talked about before, but it's set to debut July 10th. And Amon-Ra's there, a couple of receivers there. I think George Kittle's on there, which is weird because it's receiver, but he's there. Doesn't really make sense. But let's watch a little bit of the trailer. And I just want to see Amon-Ra St. Brown's part in here, but we can kind of check out the trailer because this kind of got me fired up. It's about a month away. We get to watch it, so we'll talk about it after. But let's watch the trailer.
I have an alter ego.
He calls that dance the gritty.
And when I start putting these chains on, start putting the teeth in.
I do catch passes. I do score touchdowns. I get to do everything.
What's up, baby?
I'm like running back, kick returner, receiver.
He does it all.
I'm big on celebrations.
Him.
If I dance, I need it to go viral.
Let's go!
It's fun.
Bad hit to a sensitive area.
Oh, that sucked. Oh, that was mean. Harrison, my wife's mad at you. But I don't know if you guys would like it as much as I do.
I'm the most competitive person on planet Earth. I can go be a superhero on the field, and then I can come home and be a superhero for my babies.
Oh, that might be a little too big for them. As a kid, you just dream about the Super Bowl. But what is it going to take to really win one?
My wife, Claire, she's my battery. She recharges me.
High five. The Lions haven't won a division title in 30 years, and the time is now.
He looks so cute. I love you. Good luck.
This is my first entry to make me miss a game. I'm
Man
like,
has a wife?
I gotta be out there in the field.
I never played to be the richest. I played because I love the game.
It's not about me,
So, Daddy.
but I feel like it's my responsibility to give them exactly what they came to see.
The last time we went to the Super Bowl, we didn't win.
Really sucks, but I'm big into speaking things into existence. I will be back here. And I will be back with a vengeance.
Let us feel the heart beating. The blood pumping.
All right, this is my crib.
Feel the wet grass. The stadium slowly coming to life. May you have all the power that you need today to finish what must be done.
To the end zone! I found you!
My benchmark is not wins and losses. It's greatness.
Hey,
Oh
That got me hyped.
man, come out tonight.
I'm definitely locked in. Quarterback
Oh.
wasn't bad. I watched quarterback. You know,
No,
it's-
I only
I don't
watched
know
like
if I
half of
loved
it.
who they had. I know they had Mahomes up in there too, but Kirk.
This
and
one
Marcus
has a lot
Mariota.
more personalities for sure.
Yeah,
And
That-
wide receivers, they always do.
And having Amon-Ra in it's going to make it like quarterbacks. I think I watched half of the whole thing. Like I at one point I was just like I'm just getting bored of it. Like it just wasn't that like it was Marcus Mariota and Kirk Cousins. I was just like, what's going on? Like this, shout out to them, but like this is kind of boring. But like this will be like, you have Debo, you have Devontae Adams in it, is going to be unbelievable too, by the way. And then obviously our own Amon-Ra St. Brown. I didn't even know he had a girlfriend. Someone in the chat said I think they've been together for years and he's just very private. That was supposed to be one of my friends. Amon-Ra, I thought we were friends. I had no clue he had a girlfriend.
He left you in the dark.
Yeah,
not wife, especially now he signed that bag. He's gonna have to just go through it, and hey, just
every time we hang out, he never mentioned her. So
got a lot of money now.
What's going on?
So maybe eventually, But as of right now, yeah, it's his girlfriend. You see them together. I think he was at the playoff game against the Rams. You saw some of it in the trailer too, to get kind of that inside scoop, not just on Amon-Ra St. Brown, but also just the Lions. You get a little, I'm cool with that. Like there's a clip in there in him with the locker room after the playoff win. Mm-hmm.
I can't wait.
Anyone you guys wish was on there instead of someone? Like I wish there wasn't Debo and George Kittle. But
yeah.
I would have liked to see this last year, and I know a lot of people are probably going to hate this. I would have liked to see a Travis Kelce, especially this last season.
You're spot on.
And it has nothing to do, like, I know a lot of people really know the Taylor Swift stuff. I actually think, like, and I'm not like a Swiftie or anything. I enjoy some of the music. I'm not like someone that would advocate. Like, I don't really care about all this stuff. People are like, we don't want Taylor Swift. Like, I don't care. It brings fans to the game. I would like to have seen like the whole behind the scenes of all of this, dude. Like that would have been kind of sick to see the Travis Kelce behind the scenes thing. And I'm a fan of Travis Kelce. I'm a fan of Jason Kelce as well. So like that would have been cool to have that instead of like maybe Debo. Maybe done two tight ends instead of
like CeeDee Lamb or someone like Mike Evans.
AJ Brown after last year. That would have been interesting. Just to see I'm just here for the drama.
Tyreek would be a good one. Tyreek Hill would be a really good one.
Puka.
Yeah, it's good. Amon-Ra, this comes with being
Cooper
a star receiver. It's not just the accolades and the numbers, but it's also the marketability. And this is a great way to market himself. And honestly, it's great for the city of Detroit and the Lions. People get to know who Amon-Ra St. Brown is, which I don't see as much respect given to him as I do locally and nationally with Lions fans. But like, I just don't hear people bringing up Amon-Ra St. Brown when they talk about, some of the best receivers in the league. And we had the discussion a couple days ago where he ranks. We all had him top 5 to 7. So I think it's good for his brand.
Yeah, I'm excited. I just want to know what his like outside life is when it comes to like off the field. I think that'd be interesting to see, like just to see how he goes about his day to day all the time and all of that.
Booner, is this true?
Yeah, he just signed with the Dolphins. Okay. I'm in the middle of tweeting it now.
How sad are you?
Very sad. I thought that was going to be perfect. That would have been awesome. Watch him go out there and get like 7 sacks in Miami now, like that.
Who's still free agent, Boone?
Who?
Robert Woods, your guy.
Wait, what happened with him?
Robert Woods, he's still out there.
Oh, by the way, too, certified.
I would not be mad at that.
Shout out, member for 2 months. He said Booner takes an L for keeping Xbox over PS5. That was I got hacked. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I just got hacked.
Yeah, I don't think people got the troll there. I think they actually.
Think so, yeah.
There's some people like, you're selling it for $600. It's $450.
There's people leaving screenshots underneath, like, dude, this is how much it is. Like, dude, I'm. If you guys want to know, it was a troll. It was like I got hacked. You guys see like people get hacked and put that picture up.
When we play anything, they all play Xbox. It's true. He doesn't have a PS5.
By the way, too, and this is a development.
Yeah, you guys won't play with me.
The new NCAA football. I have an Xbox One. You can't play with the new system. It's ridiculous. I have to get a new system in the next month.
Well, you had the old one, Boone.
I had the Xbox One.
Yeah, you have like that's old.
Oh
that's
my
like
gosh.
5 years,
that is
6 years old.
Unbelievable. It's one of the worst things of all time.
Yeah, you got to upgrade for the future too.
They're trying to squeeze me out.
I think you can get it for that one, Boone. It just won't look as good. Like it'll be like a version for your Xbox.
I guess I'll just
Yeah, come on, Boone. The people get with that. That's years outdated. Booner Andrew says Anakin, I'm saving up for my Xbox Series X. Is that what it is? The Series X?
Yeah.
Yep.
How much are those?
think like 400, whatever the
400.
PS5 is.
Yeah, I'll probably.
Who
check
does
it.
Oh,
Classy.
How
What's the
are we?
shirt?
How are we?
What's the
Huh?
shirt? The shirt.
No, that Rodman shirt I have.
There we go. You look
Oh,
beautiful.
I love that. I love it.
that is
I absolutely
Great shirt.
Klotz, you locked into Amon-Ra St. Brown, a receiver? You tuning in?
Oh yeah, I can't wait to watch him, and then I'm really excited to watch Devontae. Devontae would be fun to watch, just because I want to see how he handles the situations. As far as just being, I want to see like the amount of touchdowns that dude could have had this year, and then they were just complete overthrows or underthrows or just suicide balls that could have been just right in stride. Then you see Jacoby Myers going crazy. You see just Devontae in wide receiver hell in Vegas right now.
Who would you have wanted to see? Who's someone that's not on there you would have wanted to see?
Are we counting tight ends too?
Yeah, I said Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I'd love to see Kelce. AJ Brown for sure. I just love AJ Brown, and especially there's a lot of drama in Philly.
I'm with you.
CeeDee Lamb. Can I interest you?
See, no, I don't care. Keenan Allen, I would have loved to see, especially because he had a good year this year. See what it was like having Staley on the sideline.
They should have went to LA, and they could have had Keenan. They could have had Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, and they could have just knocked 3 out in one.
Yeah, I don't understand Debo on there. If this was 2 years ago, that's great, cool. But Debo, give it to Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, both of them. Give it to those two instead of Kittle and
I would like to see Garrett Wilson. Him just getting pissed, all the highs and lows, him getting
I would have loved to see like an on-field reaction to Tim Boyle's fail Mary when he threw the 99-yard pick six at the end of the half. I would have loved to hear what Garrett Wilson was saying in that moment.
That was a good one.
Shout out to Ron Holland too, dog.
That is unreal. Well, I do want to give a shout out to Steve Lehman, gifted 5 Crunch Time memberships at the beginning of the show there.
What a legend.
Actually before the show. Shout out to Steve for that. Give it back to the people, man, as always. I'm locked in. I'm ready. We talked a little bit about quarterback earlier with Trevor Lawrence. Do you guys see that Sam Darnold is officially the starting quarterback with the Minnesota Vikings?
No, not doing this. Not doing this.
We are, Booner.
It is not true. That is a fake. Show me where that is a report. I want you to pull it up right now. An official report from Kevin O'Connell. From Kevin O'Connell? Did it come out of his mouth?
I think Helen Keller could have predicted that one.
It's not a real thing.
I don't care. I know it's happening. Who's his competition?
Booner, why do we care though? That's what we want. If you are a fan of JJ, you want him to sit. So
I do think he's going to play. I actually, Jeff, you tried to troll me a couple weeks ago about it when the reports came out. He was struggling.
Nick Mullins, QB2.
No. Okay, knock it off.
Don't talk about JJ.
I admitted that JJ wasn't going to start the season, that it was going to be a few weeks at least. And like, dude, there's been reports for the last month saying that Sam Darnold is going to have the full reign there until they feel JJ's ready, and they're not going to put pressure on Sam Darnold. They're just going to let him kind of go at it and just go out there and be the starter. So no, like, I'm not going to sit here. Like, I don't really care, actually. It's good for it's good for the Detroit. No, it's good for the Detroit Lions. We're playing against Sam Darnold twice.
You know, it'd be good. I wish JJ would start. That'd be good for the Lions. Be feasting all over that. That's what I
let him have it, man.
This man paints his nails like Caleb Williams. He's a Caleb Williams stan.
Harness good, block bad.
He's over there laughing.
Hey, well,
I mean, Caleb, I think, scares Lions fans a lot more than JJ does.
Well, come on now.
No, you did not.
Can't say that.
You did not just call that man JJ. I'm using that. That's a good one, Klotzy.
That's where I bet Terrion, he's going to have a 2-pick game. I bet it's going to be.
Gentry, I hope he gets like canceled or something for saying that.
Who, Jeff?
Klotzy.
I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down.
Go ahead. You get canceled too.
That's a good one.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, we're gonna debut a segment here. That the transition off of JJ McCarthy. What's this? Detroit supremacy. Booner, calm down. He went to Michigan, not SVSU.
So dumb.
What are we putting those comments up for?
It's funny.
We don't give Detroit supremacy. We don't give Detroit supremacy the limelight.
Well, he's a
now Booner's canceling people.
He's a valued member.
Detroit supremacy is a known troll when it comes to the Michigan stuff.
That's why it was funny, Booner.
It's not funny. I've gone to battle. I've gone to a battle with him.
It's funny.
I've gone to battle with him. I've gone to battle with.
He doesn't like it. He's not a fan of it. Well, hey, we are getting into a new segment, buy, sell, and hold. It's Detroit Lions stock market we're doing here. I'm going to give you guys 6 players. We're going to break it down one by one, each player. And you guys are going to tell me if you're buying stock, meaning it's only going to rise, or maybe you're selling stock, meaning, hey, this is we're going down a little bit, or hold, as in neither buy or sell. If you have some stock, maybe you're just holding for the time being, or maybe you're not even interested. Just like I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to touch it. It's too, a little too risky. So let's do this thing. All right. The first player that we're going to go through, and I'm going to start it off. It's going to get gradually a little harder. Put some more pressure on you guys. The first player.
Pause, dude.
The first player we're going to do.
Jeez, dude. That was a bad one. That was a bad one. That was bad. That was really bad, Jeff. That was probably the worst you've had yet.
I didn't even notice it, to be honest.
Yeah. You know what? Is Detroit Lions linebacker Jack Campbell. We buying, selling, or you holding with the
we'll go in order. We'll go Boone, me, Jench.
I think this is an easy one, and if anyone else doesn't have the same answer as me, I will mute you the rest of the segment. You said Jack Campbell, right?
Yep. Not Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell.
All right. Are we doing a serious show here or not? And we're buying Jack Campbell. You have to buy Jack Campbell. You have to. Like, he's going to end up. Again, yesterday, the doc actually said yesterday that he thinks Alex Anzalone is going to have a chance to be an All-Pro. I think Jack Campbell's going to have the chance to do the same thing. I would, if I had to bet, I think I would bet Jack Campbell to be a Pro Bowler over. And I'm switching to from All-Pro to Pro Bowler. I think he'll be a Pro Bowler this year. And I think like him getting back into his normal position and just head down and just be you. Eventually, he's going to take that green dot in the next year or two. And I think Jack Campbell, you're going to see, like right now, you should put all of your money on Jack Campbell. All of it.
I'm going to be buying as well. To Booner's point, I don't think there's any reason to sell Jack Campbell right now. I think he showed you what he could do. I know there was highs and lows, but with the highs that he did show you, it shows you that he can do everything you want out of the linebacker position. And the showing you how much accountability he took last season. He's got a training camp to go with Kelvin Shepard, who I'm in love with as far as developing players. And then you have a veteran in Alex Anzalone, who's also going to push Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell obviously wants to be the one that's the LB1 there, but Alex Anzalone is right now. And Alex Anzalone, I do expect to have an all-pro type of season. I'm really high on Alex Anzalone, but that's only going to make Jack Campbell better.
Yeah, no, I'm still buying on Jack. I don't know if he will go in and take Anzo's spot right away, but I think he will continuously work towards that as years go on, and I think he will be our linebacker for the future. So I think there's no other option. You got to buy Jack Campbell.
Well, guess what? Buy all the Jack Campbell stock you can get, because right now, based off last year, it's not completely at it's not at the ground level, but it's rising. Okay, you could probably get in now a little early, because there's going to be a time where you're going to be able to quadruple your money. So buy the stock right now for Mr. Jack Campbell. So I think we're all on board there. The next player I'm going to name will be the rookie, not Terrion Arnold, but Ennis Rakestraw. Ennis Rakestraw stock. What are you doing? You buying, selling, maybe holding? Where are you guys at with it?
I might surprise some people here, but I'm not buying Ennis Rakestraw. I'm holding. I'm holding. And it's to the point, fellas, we've already talked about Ennis Rakestraw a lot. You don't know. He's not like Terrion. He's a little different than Terrion. Terrion's going to step in right away, and you would think he's a CB2 on this team and potentially work his way to CB1. Ennis Rakestraw is a guy where it's like you want to sit there and you want to just let him develop. You have Amik Robertson. You have Terrion Arnold. You have drawing a blank right now. Amik Robertson. You have these guys to be able to go out there and kind of just settle it, like just let them be them, and you can buy time for Ennis Rakestraw. And that's why you've already bought the stock in him. It's not going to get any lower because he's going to keep learning and keep learning and learning. You just sit there and hold on the stock. Hold. Diamond hands, you hold. Diamond hands, you hold. And then in 1 year later, that man, then you can buy more and just keep sell, because that man's going to be like up here in a year or two. Diamond hands with Ennis Rakestraw.
Give me it now, Boone. I want it at the lowest value you can, because when he talked to Rick Spielman at right before the combine started, it might have been right after the combine. Actually, I think it was the draft, so I take that back. But just listening to how he approaches the game, listening to how he knows that he's going to be an underdog, and the fact that he is playing nickel is what I'm so confident in buying. If he was playing perimeter, I honestly would probably be selling it. But the fact that they want him at nickel, he is perfectly built to play the nickel position the way that he physically attacks with the football, the player that's carrying it, and that he can diagnose plays very well. I think when it comes to shedding tackles, stopping RPOs, he's perfectly built for it, and he's going to be flying around the field, which Aaron Glenn loves to do. He's good with press man-to-man coverage, and I think playing the nickel position, he gets lost down the field in coverage sometimes, but when you're playing nickel, you're really going to be dealing with shorter routes. Sometimes you'll have corners, but I think he's going to be a guy that will really flourish in the nickel position.
Yeah, I am as well. I'm going to stick with Booner here. I'm going to hold. I don't think we will obviously see much of Ennis off rip, but I think later on down the line, if someone goes down when he's called upon, he will show up. So I'm not going to buy as of now. I'm going to hold. I think it'll pay off in the future.
Yeah, this one, this is a little more difficult. This one could go either way depending on your belief in him right off the rip. I know, Lucas, you've been higher on Ennis Rakestraw. I think he'll be a contributor. I don't know about this season as much as he will be in the future. So therefore, I'm going to hold. I'm going to stay put. I'm going to be a little more safe and just hold out on this one. I'm not going to buy it just yet, but for those who do buy it, may potentially make some dough. So I'm going to hold. I'm going to hold that one. So I know
no buying Bitcoin. That'll be my Bitcoin.
All right, that'll be your Bitcoin. That's fair. The next player we're going to go through is going to be Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker.
Well, you skipped someone.
Well, it's not all in order, but because I want to mix it up a little bit here, even throw you off, Boone.
Yeah, you really did, because I was getting ready to go on a rant.
Buy, sell, hold. Where are you at, Boone?
I'm going to shut the chat. I'm just going to not look at anything right now, and I'm just going to go on my own here. And I want to talk to the people. The Detroit Lions just signed Jared Goff for a 4-year, $212 million contract. Jared Goff is your franchise guy for the next 4 seasons. No ifs, ands, or buts. I will sell. Sell. I know it's maybe if you want to say it's on the edge of hold, but right now, guess what? Hendon Hooker is he's your backup, and he's going to be a backup on your football team for the next 3 or 4 years. So if you want to say hold, okay, I think that's fine. But at some point on this list, I wanted to pick sell, and out of the guys we picked, this was the number one guy I had to sell, because at the end of the day, and if you guys are all lying to me if you say no, we all had the conversation of, hey, what if you got offered this or that to trade Hendon Hooker away? All of you guys, all of us on this panel right now, all of you in the chat all said, yeah, I'd be fine with that. 3rd round pick, yeah, would be fine with it. 4th, yeah, I would do it. A lot of you guys all said that. That's the same thing as selling in this game we're playing right now, this hypothetical game. So if someone came up to me right now from a different franchise and said, hey, we'll give you this pick for him. All right, yeah, as long as we have another backup that we're able to put in. So yeah, I would say sell right on the edge of hold. Sell right on the edge of hold.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of go flip-flop with you, Boone. I'm going to go hold right on the side of sell. I just think I want to see how the situation plays out. Obviously, he's not going to be seeing the field for probably 2-3 years. But I just want to see how it plays out, because there's a lot of potential there, especially when you talk about being a QB1 of a Super Bowl contending roster. I think there's a lot of potential there to sell later on down the road when you can get sky-high value. So I'm going to hold, but I was close to selling, Boone.
I agree as well. I think I'm going to hold here. I think there's still a lot of potential with Hooker. Obviously, we want to see him go in a preseason game, see what he has, but I think he has a lot of the intangibles that you look for in a quarterback in today's game, which could possibly take the Lions offense to the next level in the future when they do move on from Goff. Obviously, that isn't anytime soon, Booner, but I am going to hold. You still need a good backup quarterback.
boo me as well. I'm going to hold. Just because based on what we've seen so far, which is really not much, and it's not of replacing Goff. That's not the conversation. But with his stock, you can sell if. Okay, what are we doing here? Who's hitting me? What are we doing? All right, okay. Let me tell you a story. If the price for Hendon Hooker does go up and you could potentially get a third or a second the more he shows, then that would be technically a profit for where you drafted him, especially a second. A third, you'd get it back. So that's where I'm at with selling. I'm not going to sell him for a 4th round pick. You're losing. You drafted him in the 3rd. And you don't even know what he is yet. So I would.
When I said 4th, I meant more so like a 3rd. If someone offers you a similar, you're like, okay,
yeah,
potentially, because you just.
So I'm going to go hold for right now. I'm going to go hold.
I think that's fine. I think being on the edge, like if you put all 3 here, 1, 2, 3, and say buy and sells or sell and hold is right here, I think I would just go right in the middle and I would just sit in the middle because I would think it depends on it depends on training camp too. It depends on training camp.
Yeah, it's like what Michael said. His price is rock bottom. You don't want to sell it now.
I guess this whole conversation with the buy, sell, and hold is weird for players because like. At that point, I don't know. All of these guys we have on the list, none of them are even close to their highs now. So essentially, we would never sell any of them. And like all of them, a lot of these guys on the list are at their lowest. So we're just going to buy every single stock. Like you have to look at it in different ways to where like Hendon, it's like if you did get a good price for him and someone came to you with a really good price because they need a young quarterback that potentially could become their next quarterback, then you're able to sell. And I think anyone would be lying if they said, someone walked up to Brad Holmes tomorrow and offered an insanely good price, you would sell Hendon Hooker quick. Like he's not your starting quarterback, and you just signed your starting quarterback for the next 5 years, basically. Right. So, what's and to Chad Fletcher, what's Booner? By the way, it's Booner, not Boner. So Chad, what kind of loser are you to change someone's name like that? It's not that funny. If we traded Hooker, who goes down, Goff goes down. You will go find another backup. There's going to be guys that get cut. That you got Teddy last year. You were able to pick him up in the offseason. You're like, if that happens, and it's such a hypothetical. Like again, Hendon Hooker isn't going to get sold. Like he's not going to get traded. That's why this hypothetical is a little weird because you still have to go through training camp and see what he can do. He's so raw right now.
But again, this is why it makes the conversation fun because it is how you interpret it. It's how
Chad.
It's how you value the player, what you think the player's stock is right now. Again, we don't have prices or anything like that, but it's the player's value. And I can't just put Penei Sewell on here and Nate Hutchinson on here. I mean, it'll be buy. You have to put someone on here that's worth like, hey, maybe there is a little bit of potential to sell. Well, the next player, I think we'll agree, and that player is going to be Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams stock. Where are you guys at? Buy, sell, or hold for JMO stock, depending on how high you are on him, meaning how much you think his stock will go up.
This is another thing. Yeah, this is another one to me is I said hold, and I'm going to tell you guys the reason why I said hold. It's because a year ago, I bought into the Jameson Williams stock when he got suspended and it was at its lowest. I already have Jameson Williams stock at its lowest. You could say buy now, but guess what? Jameson Williams isn't even close to where his lowest was. I bought stock back when he was as low as it could be. He was at the lowest. I got him at a penny, and guess what? He's worth $300 now. I got him at a penny stock, and he was AMC, and he's worth $80 to $100 now, and I just profited 100,000%. And that's why right now I still think he goes up, and I think it's gonna even like go up like drastically go up. So I'm holding. I already bought Jameson Williams stock a year ago, so I'm holding all of that. And you know what? I'll buy some more because I know it's gonna go up, and I can profit off it even more.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the suspension, if we're just talking about his value going from last year to this year, I think it's ridiculous not to buy stock. I think the opportunities are there for him. I think the chemistry is only going to build. I think this is when you really get to see what Jameson Williams is. And I think half of that is more than what he's done in his career so far. So I'm definitely buying JMO.
It's not even a question or a debate with me. I'm buying JMO. I've been saying it since we started this show. JMO's going crazy this year. He's going to take that step and become that wide receiver 2 that we need. So I'm buying all the stock on JMO for sure.
I will buy it as well. I just, Jeff said it in the chat, and I couldn't agree anymore. Jeff to Jeff connection there. I do agree with what he said. His stock is currently at like pretty much the lowest I think it'll ever be. So I'm buying now, assuming the opportunity will be there, but also he'll fulfill the role he's supposed to fulfill and significantly increase his production this year. I think he'll double it at least. I know it's not saying much. He had like 300-something yards, but I think he'll inch closer, to maybe not production-wise what you thought you were getting when you drafted him, but still a very good number 2 wide receiver. So I'm going to buy stock. That is my decision on that one. But I don't hate Booner for holding it either. I actually was debating hold or buy, so I was kind of in the middle there. So I don't
confused with this whole.
Huh? What?
I think I might just be a little confused because I thought I already bought JMO stock last year. So now I sound like I'm lower on JMO because I'm the only one that held. But like I think I was the most confident out of him, thinking that he's gonna
then buy it.
Well, I already bought it. I bought like 1 million. I bought 1 million shares 12 months ago.
So you buy stock.
So I'll buy more, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
I'll just keep buying. I'm gonna get 2 million shares in while you guys are only 1 million in.
Well, all right. Well, there you go.
I got a little confused for a second. I had a little brain fart, I think.
No, I mean, we've all been high on JMO. So, I mean, I guess we've all bought stock too, I guess. I mean, we all have tons of stock, but we're buying more, Booner. We're all buying more. All right.
Jeff Olson hates the Bucks.
The next, dude, Booner is like, he is. All right. Next player. I know the people in the chat are going to love this one, and that is Matthew Betts. Matthew Betts stock. You buying, selling, or holding? Where this one's gonna be interesting. Go ahead, Boone. Where are you at? Buy.
Do you got that sound drop, please?
I do.
Everyone buy right now. Go buy the stock. Everyone thinks right now Matthew Betts is going to not even make the team. He will make the team. You buy the stock, and then in the month, once training camp comes around and he makes the team, then you hold and you hold and you hold. Because then when the season comes around, wait till the season comes around. Then he starts to sit there and he takes that next step and he goes out there and gets 4 or 5 sacks. And you're like, who is this guy? Matthew Betts. So buy all the stock right now. And you know what? The whole army here, I will tell you guys when we start to hold. Just keep buying. And as soon as day 1 of training camp comes around, we stop and we hold. And we just sit there and we diamond hands. We don't ever sell. I think he's going to have a decent. I think he's going to make an impact. I think it might be deep on the bench, but I do think that like maybe not 4 or 5 sacks, but I think if you get a couple out of him this year, I wouldn't be shocked. Jeff, me and you have a double bet. The first bet, him making the team, we got a pizza on that, and as well as we have a bet of him just to literally get 1 sack, like 1 sack all season.
I did double dip, didn't I? I did,
and I think both of them had.
I did double dip. Yeah,
no.
Was it 1? Damn, did I really do that? Damn. Well, I guess I'd already be wrong, so I'm going all in
on business.
Go ahead, Lucas.
Yeah, I'm selling that quicker than a gas card. I think his stock right now, there's a lot of optimism around there, but I just still don't see him making the 53-man roster. So if his stock's gonna go up, it's gonna go up from a penny stock to a nickel stock. Like it's just not. There's bigger and better fish out there to fry. If I'm wrong about it, hey, I'll be wrong, but I just don't see it happening. I don't.
Yes, I am going to sell as well. I will be happy if I'm wrong on this. I don't think he's going to make the 53-man, but I think he'll be a fine practice squad player. He'll be a fine guy for Booner to look out for at training camp, but not expecting much. So I'm selling.
Well, this is interesting. I didn't expect, we had a lot more sellers than I maybe initially anticipated. I'm going to agree. I'm going to say sell, and I think that's not a surprise. I mean, me and Booner have. Why do I get the booze? Why do I get the booze? Huh? Jeez.
Why are you coming to me? I'm not the one pressing the button. I don't even know how to use it.
I didn't do that one.
I'm sitting back drinking my own.
It is for sure. But I'm going to sell. I'm staying consistent with the bet me and Booner have, which is he won't make the initial roster, but he will be on the practice squad. And honestly, I could still lose because even if he makes the practice squad, if there's an injury, he could be called up and get a sack. So there is that too. I shouldn't have hedged that one, but yeah,
you could break even. So
Yeah. You know what? That is fair, Gentry. But yeah, I'm going to sell. And it is what it is. Next player we're going to go through. And by the way, I see this Bears fan. Why would you use thumbnail of Caleb and Bears reaps of desperation? You won't see any Chicago pod that gives two shits about Detroit. To be honest with you,
this must be a Bears fan.
Yeah, well, I think most people would agree that I'm probably higher on the Bears than others, but we did that so you joined. So thank you. But let's continue. Levi,
can I go last on this one? I hate going first. I don't like this one. This whole segment, like I feel like I'm being set up by you guys right now.
Right. Go, Lucas.
Why are we setting you up? It's your
We'll go Gentry. You go first. I'll go.
Well, the opposite way. We'll go around the opposite way.
Yeah. So
right.
Gentry, you
right.
go.
Aren't we on the last guy?
Yeah.
All right. Levi Onwuzurike. What do you boys think?
Who?
I'm still selling on Levi. Obviously, Dan, spoke highly of Levi, but I'm still not sold on it. I still would have to wait and see anyway. So I may buy later down the line if he does prove something, but he can't stay healthy. So right now I'm selling Levi.
Yeah, Levi's stock right now might be at an all-time high. They're out there in the pajamas. He would have had 2 sacks on Hendon Hooker. He was barreling down the trenches. It's not that I hate Levi as a person, but I think when you're a defensive tackle that has a major back injury and you've been struggling to get on the field, when you've been struggling to stay healthy, and they draft a Mekhi Wingo, there's a Broderick Martin developing. Your pre-training camp stock, I think that's as high as it's going to be, so I'm selling right now. Another guy that I could easily see not making the roster.
Did you say Levi to not make the roster?
Yeah, I could see him not making the roster.
I'm going to go opposite of both of you here, and it's a surprise as always. I'm always on the opposite side of everyone. I'm going to go buy Levi here. And what I think it is I think that every year, you hear these guys where there's these stories coming out of minicamp and OTAs. I think the Levi one is the most believable from Dan Campbell, because it's not like Dan and Jeff, you say it all the time. Dan Campbell doesn't lie to the media. He like that's sometimes to a fault. He doesn't lie to the media. He's very honest with the media. And that has been the one player consistently for the last 3 weeks during all of the camps that he has been very, very highly on was Levi Onwuzurike. And he mentioned at the very beginning of it was this is the very first time in Levi's career where he was fully healthy. He has no injuries. He's been able to kind of put all of that to a side. In the past, all of these camps and all off season, he's had a back issue. He's had shoulder, like Klotz said, when you have one back issue, it leads to all these other things. Now, finally, he is healthy. Like, he has no worries. He's been able to get healthy. And I think it's not a coincidence that you're starting to see Levi kind of, now that he's healthy, you're starting to see people hear about him more and more and more. And I think adding, different pieces to this defensive line and a kind of a new face with Terrell Williams, I think that's going to help elevate Levi O a little bit here. And I'm really hoping, and I'm banking on, this is one of those stocks to where you don't know what's going to happen. Like, this is one of those volatile stocks to where, like, it could just burst any second, and you put all of your money into it and it's just done. You lost it all overnight. You wake up the next morning and you're like, oh no, I just lost all my money. That's what this Levi O thing is, because you're hearing how great of the stock it is. You're hearing everything. Oh my gosh, this is the next big thing. In the next 2 months, the stock's about to win you $1 million. But you have to wait for that 2 months to come around, and that's training camp. And once we see the pads on and training camp come around, I am leaning on him becoming, someone just put it in the chat, I'm leaning on him to become a legit rotational piece within this defensive line, and I'm backing on that, and I think he will. I do. I have faith in Levi. And shout out Michael Lucci. He put Levi is Dogecoin. By the way, quick story time from Booner. Dogecoin. I got in on Dogecoin and GameStop and AMC, all of those. Bought me a whole trip to Miami, full week in Miami for free. Dogecoin. Shout out.
Look at
I was an investor. I was an investor at one point, boys. Bought me a whole trip.
Yeah, trip to Miami off investments.
Off Dogecoin.
What was your answer, Boone? You said what?
I said buy. I said buy. I like what I heard out of camp. I'm gonna buy it because I think he ends up making the team and being part of the rotation.
Well, then I'll go the opposite. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go hold. I'm gonna hold because I think that, and people were saying it in the chat too. I just think it's one of those things where it sounds too good to be true. But also, if you sell, it's like you're getting. I mean, what are you selling for? I mean, you're selling for a couple bones here, boys. So,
Your
like,
time.
yeah. Okay, well, that's fair. I'm gonna go hold. I'm gonna hold the stock. I got it for cheap anyway. I mean, the guy missed a ton of games and he hasn't looked great, so I got it for cheap. I'm gonna hold. I'm gonna hold it for right now with Levi. I'm not gonna buy nor sell. So that's where I'm at with it. One more player, last player. I'm gonna throw it in, extra player, before we move on here. Buy, sell, or hold for Carlton Davis. Carlton Davis. And Booner, you don't have to start. You don't have to start. We can go the opposite way. We'll go Gentry, Lucas, and then Booner. But Mike, what are you thinking? Carlton Davis. CB1, that's what he's expected to do. You got confidence? What do you think with Carlton Davis?
I do have confidence in him, but I'm still going to hold to kind of see what he does this year. Obviously, we expect him to come in and fill that void of cornerback one, but we've kind of expected that with Cameron Sutton, and we've seen how that worked out. Obviously, it didn't. So I still think Carlton Davis is going to be miles better than Cameron Sutton, so don't take that the wrong way, but I'm still going to hold on him. I mean, he's in a contract year. I still think he's going to go out and perform, but we got to see it. We've been through the ringer with this cornerback group, so I'm not investing in something until it's secure.
Yeah, I'm with Gentry. I'm going to hold as well. I think Carlton Davis is a very good corner, but I think he was also in a very good situation in Tampa Bay. Not saying like trying to take away from him. We talk about Vita Baez, Shaq Barrett, Levante David, Devin White, and even they brought in KJ Britt, Jamel Dean on the other side, Antoine Winfield. Like there are some studs over there in Tampa Bay, and I think that definitely is going to help any corner regardless of how good they are. And I think in Detroit, there are going to be some growing pains early on, so I'm going to hold. I think he will have success here, but I just want to see it before I buy.
Booner?
I'm gonna go a little. I'm gonna do what I always do here, and I'm gonna say buy. I'm gonna use Lucas's point here to kind of a point to where I do think like Carlton Davis, essentially, it's a contract year for him, and he's in a new position. He's already won a Super Bowl in Tampa. I think there's and I could be wrong. I just feel like a guy like him getting into a new position on a new team, a new franchise, just kind of seeing a little bit of the way things work differently, if that makes sense. I think it's like I don't want to say it like revitalize his career, because his career was fine before, but I think it's like you see a lot of guys go to a new place and they kind of take another step forward because, they were so complacent the place before, and he was really good and they had a good secondary there in Tampa. I just think now that he's coming in here, he is the clear vet in the secondary, the clear leader back there. And like you've heard his interview, and in his interview, he's been very vocal about how he wants to be the leader and be the guy helping these guys kind of this young secondary take a step forward. So I do think that like Carlton Davis, I think as much as, you may think he's going to start slow or like he struggled in the years past, I think you end up seeing the best Carlton Davis that we've seen in his career, potentially, especially with the secondary, the safeties that he has behind him playing now with Brian Branch. Terrion's going to be on the other side. You're going to have Iffy and Kirby back there, Amik Robertson in the mix. Like, I think he's going to be playing on a very good secondary, and especially on another Super Bowl contending team, to where he's going to be in a really good position to take a step forward. Contract year. I think his stock ends up going really high up this year. I think he has a lot of confidence. It seems like, getting like the Bucks traded him. So like as much as it was a cap casualty type of situation, he still got traded. He still wants to prove himself in this league. I'm sure he heard a lot of the question marks around him with the injuries and different things. I think he's going to want to go out there and prove himself. And he seems like that type of guy that would go out there as a corner. We talk about the confidence. He's got the confidence. So I'm gonna go buy. I think his stock ends up going really high up this season.
So I'm gonna go hold on this one. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy some stock. I'm gonna buy some Carlton Davis stock. I just think with the position he's in, the defensive line, although on the other side of Aiden, there still is who's going to show up and show out. They still have a pretty good defensive line. He's got some good safeties behind him. And I think he's, in a way, when you get traded to a new team, there is a sense of rejuvenation, almost like fresh start somewhere else. And I think that's what you're going to see from Carlton Davis this season. So I'm going to buy some Carlton Davis stock. That's where I'm at with it. But fellas, that'll be it. that is the Detroit Lions stock market. We'll bring that one back closer to the season. If not in the middle of the season, we'll revisit it. But hey, good job, fellas. I do want to transition here because Adam Rank from NFL Network, he gave out his NFC North predictions. He is a Bears fan who works for NFL Network, and he hosts a show that goes through and he talks a lot of Bears. But you're going to want to see what the record. And I have the graphic here for each team, the records, so on and so forth. So we're going to start. I'm going to go through, and we'll go to the Lions last. I know. So we're going to start and go around the NFC North. I'll ask you guys before I show the graphic, what do you think this team, how many games do you think this team will win? And then I'll put the graphic up. So we're going to start with the Minnesota Vikings. How many games do you guys think the Vikings will win? At least, if you don't want to give me an exact number, fine, at least a range.
I would say 7 to 9, like 7, 8. That would be me. I would probably say 7 or 8. I think we did record predictions in NFC North a couple of weeks ago, and I think I said 7 or 8. I think I said 8 maybe.
Yeah,
what about you,
I'll probably go in the 6 to 8 range as well. So I just don't think they got it. I think a lot of what happened for them last year, which benefited them, is yes, they had bad quarterback play, but they also had very unexpected quarterback play for teams that they didn't really know how to throw in a game plan against, like Josh Dobbs. If you just have to go and Josh Dobbs is thrown in, a defensive coordinator is going to be stressing because that's a very different look than Nick Mullins. So I think Kevin O'Connell took advantage of that. And I think he's a good coach, but I think losing Danielle Hunter, losing Kirk Cousins, that matters. And I think especially when you look at just where they're going defensively, I don't like it. So I think they're a 6 to 8 win team.
I'll go 6 to 7. So I'm not far off from you. Well, Adam Rank had the Vikings at 7 and 10, and he had them splitting with the Detroit Lions, which I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we're going to keep this thing going. Because the real interesting part of this conversation is where he had the Bears and where he had the Lions. So
he had the Vikings, first of all, real quick. He had the Vikings beating the Texans, the Jets.
Yeah. I mean,
Texans and the Jets.
Texans,
and my Colts. I don't like that one.
Really
I think
weird wins.
A good season for the Vikings to me is 7 to 8 wins. Like that to me is good.
Yeah.
This is their ceiling, I think.
Yeah.
They know where they're at too with Sam Darnold. I don't think they're expecting Sam Darnold to take them to a Super Bowl. I think they know that this is a rebuild year to kind of get their quarterback under, with JJ. I think they're pretty, they feel comfortable saying, let's take this year to help him out and we can let Sam Darnold roll and we're comfortable not going to the playoffs. Essentially, it feels like, and pushing it and punting to next year. That's what it feels like to me a little bit.
So he has, now we'll go in order here. So that's the 4th place team in the NFC North. That's who he thinks will be 4th place. Vikings at 7 and 10. Coming in next, in 3rd place, you'd think it was the Chicago Bears, but it's the Green Bay Packers at 9 and 8.
Jeez, man.
9 and 8 Green Bay Packers losing to Tennessee. I see that already. I just can't believe it. 9 and 8. He has the Green Bay Packers in the NFC North, and they'll be 3rd. Yes, 3rd. And that's 9 wins. And we haven't gotten to the Bears. This one, I don't hate. No, I'm just kidding.
I do hate it. I think they win 11 games.
I'm joking.
They easily get to 10, in my opinion, the Packers do. 9 and 8 seems so low.
I think 11 games for the Packers is where I have them at.
At the floor, they're a 10-win team.
Yeah, I agree. Floor, yes. I think they'll be 11 and 6, maybe 12 and 5.
Just that Tennessee game. Make that Tennessee game a win. And the Vikings. Make that other Vikings win. Or the Chicago or the Vikings want to win. I think that then we're talking that's good. 11 wins. I think that's perfect.
He's just handing L's out to my Colts right now, too. Not liking that.
Not high on your Colts.
No, he's not.
So let's get to the next team. So this is 2nd in the NFC North. He has the Detroit Lions.
Oh my God, this dude's at 10.
10 is
remember last year.
Second in the NFC North, the Detroit Lions.
I think he had the Lions with like 9 wins last year or something. I can't remember the exact number, but he had the Lions like not great last year and had the Bears like I think winning the division last year as well.
Yeah, I think this is a good sign. Like if Adam Rank is saying this, that means the Lions are going to have a good season. So I'm all in for this. Usually when he talks about the Lions, he's completely off. So if they're 10-7, it means the Lions are probably going to win 12, 13 games again this year.
So there's two things. There's two things with this. First of all, he has the Detroit Lions losing to the Cardinals this year, which will not happen. They're not losing to the Arizona Cardinals. Outside of that, let's take away that Cardinals game. He has the Detroit Lions starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-1, 5-2 essentially, but 4-1 with that Cardinals loss, which I think they win. And the Minnesota Vikings, knowing now what the Vikings are going to be, I think they win that Vikings game. I don't see that happening. Like at the end of the season, losing to the Bears twice, zero chance they get swept by the Bears. Zero.
Yeah, how many? What's the division record that he has? So he has
the Lions.
Yeah.
Well, he has them splitting with the Vikings, splitting with the Packers, and losing both games of the Bears.
2-4.
Yeah, good God.
No way.
Yeah, no way.
There's zero chance this is how it happens.
They'd probably miss the playoffs if they had that bad of a divisional record.
And also, I looked at all the teams in the NFC North, all the records. The Lions would be first in the NFC North, I believe, or at least I think the Bears might be tied. Yeah, the Bears would be tied with them. I think in week 8, I believe, because they both be 5-2, and then he has the Lions completely falling off and losing another 5 games after that. So
Colts are 0-3 in our division, Klotz.
Yeah, it's just terrible. You know he's gonna have the Bears beating them too.
Jeff, are we gonna watch the video of him breaking this one down? Because he had explanations for each one.
Can you send me it?
I don't have the clip, but I can just tell you the time. I don't know. We don't want to do the ads. If you want to try and play the ads before, because it's only like a minute clip.
Can you send me the clip and I'll play it? I don't actually know. I don't have the clip. I will play it.
The actual. Okay.
Yeah, the video. And
by the way, I think we could get Adam Rank on the show. I had another story time with this, and Jeff, I think you might have been with me after it happened, or it was you were easy.
I was. Yep, I remember.
I have his number, and I had gotten Adam Rank to come on the night show. It was like a special guest. We were teasing it, and this is like a typical Booner thing to happen. I had texted him, and he lives in California, and I texted him, "Hey, we're 8 to 10," and he thought it was his time, 8 to 10 in the West Coast time. So he never texted me back for the whole show, and I'm like, he must have ghosted me. I don't know. And then I think we went to like a bar or something or dinner after the show, and I think I was with Jeff and Nick, and he had texted and was like, "Hey, are we doing the show?" And I'm like, "Dude, the show was 2 hours ago." So I just hope I didn't burn that bridge, because he's actually like a pretty big.
I think it'd be a fun conversation. I'm open to it.
For sure.
Well, before we play the clip, we'll get to the Bears record. The Bears record, 12-5. 12-5. He has them.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's disgusting. With the rookie quarterback on 12-5. How many times has that happened? I'm trying to think. Ever?
I mean, yeah.
What the Niners go with Brock? They probably won 13 games. Or did they go 12?
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah.
There's no way.
You would
look at all those wins on the right side. I know that's different weeks, but look at that. I mean, that is unbelievable.
We'll listen to Adam Rank's Lions breakdown here of why he had the Lions 10-7. He commented on the video. It's on YouTube, on NFL's YouTube channel, and he said, "I was pretty spot on last year with my predictions." So
can you pull the Bears up real quick? I'm sorry, just again real quick.
Yes.
I just want to show. I will give him a little bit of credit here, and I don't want to be the guy to give credit to this because this is brutal. 12 wins. I think the Bears are going to win 8 games. But look at their schedule. Like, they actually, compared to the Lions, they play the Patriots, easy game. The Panthers, easy. Titans, where do you know? The Jags, the Washington Commanders, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Rams. I mean, they don't have like their schedule is way easier than the Detroit Lions because they're playing, I think, all the last place teams out of all these divisions.
The Wolverine schedule.
Okay.
Well, that's
yeah, I know you're not talking.
Yeah, well,
Michigan's got a hard schedule this year.
Let's get in it.
They're
Let's
getting
hear
fucked
Adam
on.
rank. Let's hear what he had to say. At least his version of why the Lions will be 10-7. So let's check this out.
Let's take a look at the schedule. Week 1, Matthew Stafford returns to Detroit. It's a Stafford revenge game. It's a Goff revenge game. Give me the Lions in this one. Give me the Lions in week 2 as well, defeating the Buccaneers to go 2-0. But week 3, I don't know what it is. I just feel like this is a trap game for them. Give me the Arizona Cardinals in this one, but the Lions will rebound in week 4 when they play host to the Seattle Seahawks. Give me a Lions victory heading into the bye week. That's way too early if you ask me. But week 6, Dan Campbell, as long as he doesn't go on tilt, they will defeat the Dallas Cowboys rather soundly too, but lose in week 7 to the Minnesota Vikings. Week 8, playing host to the Tennessee Titans. Give me a Lions victory, but on the road, Lambeau Field. It's a tough spot. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm going to go with the Packers here. And in week 10, on the road once again, going to the Houston Texans, who will be coming on a mini bye. I'm going to take the Texans in that one. But in week 11, playing host to my friends down in Duval County, a Lions win over the Jags, a win on the road over the Indianapolis Colts. But Thanksgiving has been a trouble spot for a number of years for the Lions. So I'm going to take the Bears in week 13. Week 14, the Lions, of course, coming off the mini bye. I will take the Lions over the Packers there. I will take the Lions the following week over the Buffalo Bills. They're just a better team, but tough matchup with the Bears in week 16. Say the Bears sweep the season series. 49ers game, Monday Night Football, week 17, NFC Championship game rematch. I'm going to go with the 49ers, but in week 18, the Lions stamp their way into the playoffs with a decisive victory over the Minnesota Vikings. 10 wins for the Lions and a return to the playoffs. This team is legit.
All right, so that I like how
the Super Bowl contending football team that he's talking about.
No, well, real quick, it's his opinion. I disagree with it, but the funny part of that entire video is two things. One, where he gets a 10-7 record, and he's like a really good football team. Like after that,
Yeah.
And then the other part was when he was describing the Bears sweeping the Lions, he was like, and I predict a sweep for the Bears, and he moved on. Like,
I wanted an explanation.
Yeah, he didn't even give like a reason, football reason. He was just like, and they're sweeping the Lions. Moving on, week 17. Like, what?
Zero explanation.
Oh, you got to at least give me football reasons. Like if you say certain, okay, maybe I can listen. But that was incredible. I got a kick out of that one. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I didn't see the other ones and how bad they were, but if you take away that, if they split with the Bears and then I think they beat the Cardinals and they get to 12 wins, like other than that, I think it's fine. There's no way they get swept by the Bears, and I don't think by any means is the Cardinals is a trap game. Even if it is in Arizona, it doesn't matter. It's not a trap game.
Again, I just don't get like this Lions team got better, and we could go on and on about we have 1,000 times about where they got better, but this team is not going to go out and be 2 games worse than they were last year. There's no way. They're probably, you could argue, talent wise, 2 games better. So there's no way this happens.
Yeah, no, before we watched the video, I already explained myself. There was the 2 things: the Bears sweep not happening. Like they're gonna beat the Bears, and then the Arizona game there too. There's no way. And Adam Rank, I mean, he's a fantasy football guy. He's good at fantasy football. I think he's the NFL Network fantasy football, like the head of it. Good guy when it comes to that. But every year he does these predictions, and every year he picks the Bears to win. Even last year, I'm pretty sure he had the Bears to win the division last year. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it feels like every year he does that. So it's just like, what's the meaning of it? You know, at the end of the day, maybe it's for that one's for clicks. I don't know. But again, if there's any team that's going to compete,
the Booner path, he's attacking the Booner path.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Back-to-back years you had the Bears winning the division last year. Think about that. And I know, no offense to you boys, some of you boys were high on the Bears too, but
not that high.
Not even to that point though. To win the division, like the credibility when it comes to the NFC North, that's supposed to be his bread and butter because he is a Chicago Bears guy. So let's try and make it realistic. The Detroit Lions, and we all know this is to be true, they are the Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. It's the 49ers and it's the Detroit Lions and then maybe the Eagles. But it's the Detroit Lions and the 49ers at the top of the NFC. So to say that they're going to only go out there and win 10 games, not in like lose the division by 2 games to the Chicago Bears, that's wrong. That will not happen. That will not happen. If they lost to
about them like they're just squeaking into the playoffs.
Like he was like, oh, week 18, they're going to play the Minnesota Vikings and they're going to punch their ticket into the playoffs. Like, no, they're going to punch their ticket in the playoffs week 14. Like this isn't a Super Bowl team. This is like we're talking about. This is a team that you're putting on the same level as the 49ers now. We're not talking about the Chicago Bears who won 4 games last year, or 5 games last year. We're talking about the Detroit Lions now that just won 14 total games, counting the playoffs last year. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
a little respect at some point.
I think the Bears will split with the Lions. Sweeping is a little aggressive. 12-5 is very aggressive. That's aggressive. I think the Bears will be an 8-9 win team. I think they'll be 3rd in the division. But to say they'll go out and win it with a rookie quarterback, you would need a historically topping CJ Stroud. I mean, CJ won it, but not at 12-5. So you're going to need greatness, not only from Caleb, but you have faith that offensive line will protect him. The defense will be good. You have faith in DeAndre Swift staying healthy, that run game being effective, and also Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron. Question marks for anyone just to assume in his rookie year and Caleb's rookie year, they'll go out and win 12 games, 12-5. It's aggressive. I don't think, I know people joke with me because I'm high on Caleb that that is absurd to say that they'll win the division. That would be, honestly, if they go win the division this year, that's a whole nother problem because that would mean Caleb had one of the best rookie seasons of all time, if not the best rookie season of all time. So I don't foresee that happening. I think the Lions are in control of this division. If he were to say the Packers would win the division by a game, I'd listen. I'd disagree, but the Bears, man, that's a little.
Yeah,
I do think through the Packers one. Did you guys do that?
Yeah,
already?
we did.
Yeah, he had him at 9-8, which was honestly it's pretty bad to be honest.
I do think though, like with Caleb Williams, like yes, he is like people. Oh, he's the number 1 overall pick, like consensus or whatever the number 1 overall pick, consensus number 1 overall pick in the last couple of years.
But even consensus number 1 picks have had
all the time. Look how big of a deal Trevor Lawrence was. Look how big of a deal. All of these guys. There's been so many. Joe Burrow, and yeah, Joe Burrow did go to the Super Bowl, but his rookie year, injuries, and he struggled a little. Like, come on, like when you're playing football in the NFL, it's a whole different game. I don't care who you are, what you are. Like, you're gonna come in and you're gonna have learning curves and things. I don't like, even if you have a great football team around you. The CJ Stroud situation last year was such a one-off. Like, that was the greatest rookie season of all time. Caleb Williams isn't going to go do that. That's not going to happen. He's going to have games versus the Lions playing at Ford Field to where the fans shake him a little bit. And he's like, oh my gosh, like I haven't had to deal with this yet in the NFL. He's going to be like, all right, here we go. And he's going to throw a pick and he's going to end the game because he's a rookie. That's what's going to happen. I don't care who you have around you, what coaches you have, what players you have, what defense you have. You're a rookie. You're going to go through some pains. And I think it's like unrealistic to say Caleb Williams is going to go out there and have 12 wins. CJ Stroud just had the best season of all time as a rookie. How many wins did they have?
10.
Yeah, okay. Point proven. It's hard.
South too.
The NFL is hard. Just because he's a big name and he got the hype doesn't mean he's going to be great right away. And by saying he's going to have a bad career, no, I think he's going to have a great career. He's going to be just fine. But right now, no. The Detroit Lions, like it's a little disrespectful in my opinion.
Well, look at this. PFF, they have their own. Okay, well, look at PFF. Odds to win the division. NFC North. Again, I don't know how this is calculated per PFF power rankings. Detroit Lions, 36% chance to win the division. Green Bay Packers, 29% chance to win the division. And Bears, 21% chance. And the Vikings, 13, which I think the Bears should be like 17, 16. I don't think they should be 8% worse. Only 8% than the Packers. If we're doing this percentage BS, bull jive. I mean, even PFF, they're a little guilty of this too.
Yeah, I feel like the Bears and the Vikings, like they really have the same chance to win the division, in my opinion. Like I think the Bears defensively are a lot better, but offensively, I know we just got done talking about Sam Darnold and possibly J.J. McCarthy, but they have the best wide receiver in football. Then they have T.J. Hockenson and Jordan Addison to go with it. And I think Sam Darnold has more experience to go with. Kevin O'Connell, who's a way better offensive coach than Matt Eberflus too. So I think they're kind of evened out. But I know it's PFF, but I'm glad they understand common sense with this one, putting the Lions first. But the Packers, I'm surprised there's that much of a gap just basing off how they finished the season last year.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Jeff. I wouldn't hate it if, the Bears were a little bit lower and you kind of spread that out to the Packers and Lions. But for the most part, I agree with this. And like Lukas said, I think it's, fair, obviously, that they understand that the Lions are number one and this is their division to lose.
Yeah, guys, I'm looking at another PFF graphic here, and they did one for the AFC North, and it kind of puts the percentages into perspective a little bit. And I do think like the Bears should be lower. Vikings shouldn't even have a chance. They should be at 5%. Like the Bears should be at the 13%, in my opinion. I think it's a Packers-Lions race. The AFC North, and this is why I think maybe you could argue the Lions should be over 40% with this, because I personally think the Lions have a better chance of winning the NFC North than the Baltimore Ravens do of winning the AFC North. That's just me, because I think the Bengals have a better chance of competing with the Ravens than kind of Lions Packers. The Ravens have a 40% chance to the Bengals' 31% chance. Like they think the Ravens are like essentially almost like that difference there. We have a 36%. The Ravens have a 40% chance. So I do think maybe you could argue the Lions should be a little bit higher, but I do think like I respect them for not putting the Packers or the Bears like Adam rank above the Lions there in that sense. But I do think like it's just I think it's a two-team race at this point. Like and it's going to be like that all season.
I will say this though. All right, I will say this. In terms of the percentages, like if we have the Bears, or if I don't want to speak for anybody else, so if I have the Bears at 8-9 wins, the Lions at 12-13, in terms of percentages, maybe I don't think it should be in the 20s, maybe late teens, but I don't think they. I'm trying to think. I guess with Lucas's point, you think they have about an even chance, the Vikings and the Bears, and actually that's not too far off because the win totals we think will be like around the same. But I don't know. I guess with Sam Darnold, offensive coach, they have weapons. Defensively, you're giving the edge to the Bears. But really, the only thing is the biggest question mark with the Bears. Two things is: can Matt Eberflus coach, and is Caleb Williams going to have a really, really good rookie year, which that is to be determined. That's really the only two question marks. I mean, not that they're a perfect roster, right? Defensively. If I was the Bears, if I was Ryan Poles, I probably would have drafted Dallas Turner instead of Rome Odunze just to pair with Montez Sweat. That's just me, my preference. But hey, he drafted Rome Odunze, which he'll be a good player. But their defensive line, I mean, they got Montez Sweat, which he's going to be great. They got great linebackers. Secondary, I think for the most part, they got some pieces there. Jalen Johnson, you can't really question. And Jaquan Brisker, I do like. And Kevin Byard is he's not Kevin Byard from Tennessee, but he's still fine. Yeah, he's fine. But really, to me, the two biggest question marks are head coach and quarterback. And for any team that those are your two biggest question marks, to me, that's a huge red flag. It's huge. It was the same thing. The Lions, and it was Dan Campbell and Jared Goff, like two biggest question marks of those two. It's like
it was the same thing last offseason. Do you remember last offseason? You have Justin Fields. What is he going to be? And a lot of people, there was, he's going to be an MVP candidate, which is crazy still to think about. But that was the big question mark, saying that, is Justin Fields going to take that next step and do that? You don't know. There's a question mark on it. And at the same time, guess who was there last year as well in Chicago? Matt Eberflus. And I'll stand on this. I'm not going to put any sort of stock or anything into this Chicago Bears football team until Matt Eberflus is gone, because he might have at the end of the stretch, he gave you a little bit last year at the end, but he was nothing like before that, dude. He won his first division game, went halfway through the year or back-to-back division game or whatever the stat was. It was something insane. Like he was so bad for years there. And then all of a sudden he has a nice little stretch and they're like, we'll keep him around now. Culture's starting to feel nice a little bit. Mm-hmm. Well, what now it is? Like, remember when the Detroit Lions were bad, but there's still there was the storyline in the back end saying hey, Dan Campbell, even though the Lions aren't winning, there's a culture that's being built. Things are a lot different around here. You didn't hear that in Chicago when Matt Eberflus was 1-15. or maybe it wasn't 1 in 15, but you know what I mean? Like, you weren't hearing that. You didn't start hearing that. Like, you heard like, oh, is Matt Eberflus going to have a job next week if he loses? That was all over ESPN was, hey, if he loses in this week, he's gone. His job was on the line. I remember there was like a Thursday night or a Monday night football primetime game to where they had to win. I remember I was driving home from one of the shows and they had to win or his job was on the line that night and they won, kept his job, and now he's secured for another year. Like, that's crazy. You're trusting your rookie quarterback, franchise quarterback, with the coach that you were 24 hours away from firing at one point in your season. That's crazy. And there's no chance that this team ends up even coming close to winning the division when you have that type of thing going on.
I mean, Eli spoke about that when he joined the show. Who again, he covers the Bears, and he was a great guest, but he kind of gave his opinion on the Matt Eberflus thing when I asked him, and his response was, he hasn't lost the locker room, but I'm not sold on him either. And the only way he works really is if Shane Waldron works, and if he has to be a good head coach. I mean, DeMeco Ryans is a good head coach. Offensively, he does give a lot of those responsibilities to Bobby Slowick, and luckily he is one of the best OCs, so it works. But you're going to need like Shane Waldron to be freaking a wizard, absolute wizard, and even then it's Chicago, which they're still play outdoors, which that sucks for any quarterback. So that's a whole other thing. Before we get to mailbag, we got about 20 minutes. I want to dive into this topic because we mentioned this yesterday, but we didn't have time given just how the flow of the show went. But Tim Twentyman put out on DetroitLions.com talking about how Scotty Montgomery wants Jahmyr Gibbs to be even more of a receiver and even more of a weapon. Actually lining up in the slot. Like, I'm not just talking about catching passes out the backfield. I'm talking about a legitimate weapon. And what he said was, and we'll read some of this. And Tim writes here at the top, what Scotty said, what we need him to do from a passing game standpoint is go to that next level. Montgomery said, I do think there's a certain difference between route running from the backfield and being a really, really sufficient and efficient check down runner versus what is to be a great route runner. That guy, a guy that can run all types of choice routes. We know we've seen him do those things, but now can you go into the slot and do a little bit more down the field, some intermediate stuff? Can we continue to grow him there? And that's what we're trying to do. That will be a fun part of Gibbs' game to watch develop. A soft tissue injury forced Gibbs to miss the open OTAs and mandatory minicamp practices this spring, but he's expected to be ready to come to the start of training camp. And, he talks about how the targets will open up, obviously, without Josh Reynolds. And now with Sam Laporta, J-Mo, Amon-Ra, there's plenty of weapons that they're going to have to feed. They're going to have to get the ball to. I mean, you guys saw that photo that Amon-Ra posted with those three lined up in trips, which would be terrifying for any defensive back. Yeah, for any defensive back. But what do you guys think on just Jahmyr Gibbs? Just that being used more, not just as a weapon, but a receiver to be lining up in the slot potentially, and maybe having Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs out there at the same time and having them both active in choice.
I do. I think honestly, guys. My bad. I do think like when you break it down, and I think the big question is, and I know I kept asking Doc this last 2 weeks, and he was like, well, the wide receiver number 3 or 4 battle, I mean, that's gonna get worked out at some point. Someone's gonna win that job. With the Jahmyr Gibbs thing, I kind of look at this, guys, and tell me if I'm crazy or not. You're starting to look at those targets from Josh Reynolds. All right, who do those go to? It seems way more realistic now that if you're having a battle with DPJ and he's not stepping up like you thought, Antoine Green's still young, developing, and you're like, all right, who's going to take that other role? And I know that's like the bigger body receiver, the X, and you're like, all right, maybe we need that. I think there's a conversation to be had to where you see David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs on the field at the same time, and you see Jahmyr Gibbs lined up in the slot in that position, and these other guys, J-Mo and Amon-Ra, get moved around a little bit more, and you see Jahmyr Gibbs in the slot and lined up wide way more than we did last year. And I think that's kind of the Josh Reynolds role. Not obviously what Josh Reynolds did, being the bigger body, downfield, making those plays, but putting someone else in that Josh Reynolds position like a J-Mo and putting Jahmyr Gibbs in that Khalif J-Mo position in the slot, move Amon-Ra. Like, I do think like you're going to see Jahmyr Gibbs on the field a lot more in that kind of position, if that makes sense, in that wide receiver 4 type of deal. Instead of seeing if DPJ doesn't come out and surprise people and Antoine doesn't, I think they're like, all right, we feel comfortable enough to add Jahmyr Gibbs as a weapon. He's going to be out there with David Montgomery. David Montgomery in the backfield. Jahmyr Gibbs lined up on the outside a little bit or in the slot. Like, I think that's what we're going to start seeing a little bit more this season because they know that they have to find that replacement and give the ball somewhere else. I could be crazy. My crazy boys. Tell me if I'm crazy. Seems very realistic.
I think you're spot on. And I think if you look a lot at what the New York Jets did with Breece Hall, and if Robert Saleh could figure that out, I definitely think Ben Johnson can figure it out with Jahmyr Gibbs. And granted, it was because they had Tim Boyle and Zach Wilson who were struggling just to get the ball down the field regardless. So they had to find a way to get Breece Hall going in the passing game. But if he can do it, Jahmyr Gibbs can absolutely do it. And I expect exactly, Booner, what you were saying, I think is 100% a possibility. And I think at some point, probably later on in the season, will be a constant reality just because how are you going to guard that? If you put a safety or a linebacker on Jahmyr Gibbs, it's barbecue chicken. And he's going to outcut every defender that's in front of him. So I think it's a good wrinkle that Ben Johnson's going to add. And regardless if it's early on or not, I do think he's going to get an increased volume through the receiving game in the backfield and out of the slot.
Yeah, and I may be off on this, but I mean, they really didn't hit the mark. Gibbs didn't really hit the mark catching passes out of the backfield, and him and Goff didn't really have that connection until more later on in the year. But I wouldn't hate this. I just don't want it to be overkill, and like I want it to come organically, and like you don't do it routinely. It just like you do it every once in a while. I don't want it to become routinely where you keep throwing him in the slot. I still think you want him out of the backfield, and I still think they can work on that. But every now and then, seeing him lined up in the slot, I definitely think he can be a weapon, and I definitely think if there's any running back that can do it, it's Jahmyr Gibbs. So.
Oh no, Jeff! You can't. You deserve to be like punished or something for that one.
Rookie mistake.
I'm trying to be professional. I don't want to. If I have to sneeze or anything, I don't want to interrupt anyone's day. But I will say, you brought up Breece Hall. Breece Hall had like 600 yards receiving, caught like almost 80 balls. And like you said, a lot of that was checkdowns because they couldn't get the ball downfield, and they had no offensive line, so they had to get rid of the ball quickly. But Jahmyr caught like 50 plus balls, I think. I think he had 50 something for a couple hundred yards. I think Jahmyr could get to that 80 catch mark. I think he can easily increase his catches by 20, maybe even 30. Maybe 30 is a little aggressive, but 20. And the reason why I say that is because of what you said, Boone, too. I get the absence of Josh Reynolds will open up more targets. We all agree that JMO is going to have an increased workload. But just in general, he is one of your most explosive weapons, arguably your most explosive. So, yeah. And that's why when me and you argue about this, Lucas, and even you, Booner, about Jahmyr Gibbs and the rushing yards thing, I agree he'll get more touches and more production, yards from scrimmage.
Yep.
But rushing yards, I think he'll have more. Maybe not to the level that maybe you guys think, because I argue about Dave Montgomery. But I think we all agree that receiving, he will go up. Like there's only, if we're doing buy, sell, hold, I'm buying Jahmyr Gibbs receiving stock because I think he'll catch more footballs and he'll have more production because, again, you drafted him high and Chris Spielman even talked about this in the interview. The reason why they took him is because of the upside he has as a weapon. And I don't think you fully even got a glimpse of that last year. You did early on, but he's way better than what he displayed as a pass catcher. So I think Jahmyr Gibbs, the best is yet to come for him in the past.
You do see with Jahmyr, though, and like I was on Lucas's side and Klotz, I know me and you agreed with part of it, but I did kind of pull back a little bit because the David Montgomery, the conversation when David Montgomery spoke to the media and said, we're going to try and help each other out to make sure we're both healthy all season. And like, we're going to balance this thing out. So like they kind of came out and said it, that they want to kind of split those carries. That's where I think like the David Montgomery, I don't think he ends up losing any carries. But to that point, Jeff, like I said a few weeks back, Jahmyr Gibbs will get more touches, and it's going to come in spite of having to try and figure out where, taking those Josh Reynolds catches. And I think you give some of those to Jahmyr Gibbs, and it's inevitable because he is your biggest playmaker, the most explosive player you have, maybe him and Jameson Williams. So you have to find a way to keep the ball in his hands. And I think, and I'll stand on this a little bit to where I think he's going to get a similar amount of rushes, maybe some more carries, But I think he's going to be that much better to where he's going to get more yards out of the carries that he has. Because last year it took him a little bit to get going. Once he got going, now he knows. But I think he's going to get majority of those yards. And that increase, you're going to see a bigger increase in his receiving yards, I think, this year than you will see in his rushing yards. Like that receiving yard mark is going to go from, 300 this year, 315. It's going to go from 315 to 600, I think, potentially this year. Like you could see a double in receiving yards this year, because I do feel like Ben Johnson is going to make an emphasis on, hey, we need to figure out a way to get him the ball through the air. Like we need to find different schemes to be able to get him the ball through the air. And I think he goes from like 950 rushing yards to maybe like 1100, and he increases that. And then I think, you put that together, that's 1700 yards. That's 1700 yards on the season. That's a lot, especially on the offense.
No, go on. I
would say, especially on the offense with Amon-Ra, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, like 1,700 yards is a really good season. That's an increase from last year. He was at 1,300 last year?
Yeah.
That's a 500-yard increase. I just think the majority of the increase comes through the receiving.
Isaiah Adkins says Gibbs not even on CMC level.
Not yet. No one is.
Yeah, he's in
the best weapon in the league.
Like the Justin Jefferson, Patrick Mahomes of running backs. The NFL right now.
Where do you think Gibbs will be this? You think he'll be in that Saquon tier where he's this year?
I think the best running backs in the league this year will be CMC on his own, and there'll be tier 2 will be Breece Hall, Bijan, and Gibbs. Maybe Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry could have a monster year 2 in Baltimore.
You don't think Saquon's in there with the Eagles?
Saquon could. I'd probably put Saquon in there as well.
I just think Saquon in the peasant Kyron Williams tier.
Yeah, the peasant Kyron. No, I wouldn't put Kyron in there yet. It'd be Saquon in tier. No, Saquon would be above Derrick Henry probably. Now that I'm thinking about it, then I'd probably put Derrick Henry, Kyron. Trying to think. Joe Mixon quietly could have a really good year this year. I mean, they're going to be just thinking pass, and it's going to be a lot of empty boxes. Even Dalton Schultz, Kenneth Walker, he'll be in that tier.
I don't know if Isaiah might be a Niners fan. He says Niners own you. I think he gave it away there.
But fellas, I mean, just to kind of go off of it and kind of what Booner said, they're find a way to get him the ball. Jahmyr Gibbs, even though he was on a limited role last year compared to this season, he had the most 20-yard gains out of any running back in the NFL. So when you think what he can do when you just give him a real like drag routes or just quick little hitch routes and just make a guy miss. Now it's going to be coming through the running or through the receiving game. And I just think he's bound to have a big year. I know, Boone, you said 1,100 yards. I'm sure, Jeff, you're kind of in that ballpark as well. I think he's going to get 1,300 rushing yards. But I agree with you, 500-600 receiving yards as well.
Think about this, too. Have him and D-Bot on the field at the same time. Put D-Bot in the backfield, Gibbs in the slot. And now you have to take all that into account. D-Bot coming downhill. And you have Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, are you going to set up something for Jahmyr Gibbs? You have Amon-Ra. Like, defenses aren't going to know what to do when you have all those guys on the field.
If they have that formation, which they obviously will, there's like a Demont to Jahmyr end around in the playbook somewhere. That play would be nasty. That play would be nasty.
That's why I do think you see him in the slot a lot more this year. Because like now that like you want all of your weapons on the field, like that's going to be. That's scary, man. That is so scary.
I got him.
1,000%. Yeah. 1,000.
Shout out Isaiah, though.
No, that's dope.
Man.
Shout out Isaiah.
Can't wait until what is it?
Fine ball club. Big Ricky Pearsall fan.
Yeah. And you know what? Isaiah destroyed's a little aggressive. You guys had an impressive 17-point comeback, but I think the first half, the Lions destroyed the 49ers. The second half, well, the Niners destroyed the Lions. So there you go. I think
it cancels out. We both should have gone to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, cancels out. No, but you know what? Niners are still, they're up there. And I think it's the Niners and the Lions, man. That's the only two teams, in my opinion. Eagles will be up there, too. I do think that.
Yeah.
Isaiah also says CMC the best. Gibbs will never get to that. You think Gibbs will ever be the best running back in the league?
It's possible.
Yes. If he's always splitting a backfield, production-wise, no. But I think when he's just one of those guys we just watch. Like, I could see, and I think it will happen, there will be a day when Bijan Robinson just has the backfield to himself. And I could see just Jahmyr always splitting a backfield, so it'll be hard to tell. But in my opinion, yes, I think he has that capability. 100%.
I think there's going to be times throughout the NFL when you look 3 or 4 years down the line, you're going to see like Klotz, to your point, Bijan 1 year will be the best in the league, and then another year you see a Jahmyr Gibbs. That it's like for a while it was like Saquon and CMC and Derrick Henry. They were like, who are you getting that year? And obviously, like CMC at his best when he's healthy, he's the best. But like some years you're going to see a Saquon go out there and be the best in the league at that year. So I think it's like going to depend on. I think there's going to be a couple years in his career to where you could say, yep, Jahmyr Gibbs was the best back in this season in the NFL. Like he has the ceiling to do it and all of the talent to do it. He will do it at one point of his career.
I do agree with this. We kind of did forget about Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb, I'd kind of put in that tier under Saquon, Jahmyr, Breece Hall, Bijan. That shit, bro. He's got
Nick Chubb is a dog, dude.
He's a dog, man. But that's a tough injury to come back from twice.
If he didn't get injured, he's up there.
Stefanski running that offense. Fuck out of here.
I'm sorry, boys. These comments are getting me mad. Isaiah says we own Shitroid. I get, and then Von J says, Isaiah, they're homeless, literally shitting in the streets.
Yeah, no, actually, San Francisco is like a Black Mirror.
Oh, that is funny as hell. Oh my gosh! To be honest with you, the 49ers, they are. By the way, like success-wise, like making Super Bowls, and I think Kyle Shanahan's one of the best coaches.
No.
So like they got some things going for them. Obviously, they're one of the best teams. When's the last time they won a Super Bowl?
Steve Young.
The 49ers?
They should have cashed one of them. I mean, but again, Mahomes and Mahomes getting through Mahomes is a tough. It's a tough thing. But luckily, as people who cover the Lions, we acknowledge the Lions' history is just abysmal. So, hey, you can have it. You can have that.
Yeah, it does feel like 49ers fans a little bit. 49ers are like the way it is. It's like they've won like 10 Super Bowls in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's
what it does feel like a little bit.
It's like Cowboy-esque.
Yeah, it's like since the 90s. But it is hard for us to talk because we haven't even been to a Super Bowl. So there is like that side of things. But still, like, as an NFL fan in general, it's cool to get there. Got to win it at some point. Like I've used this example all the time. Actually, if the Lions in the next 5 years are in the situation that the 49ers are in, and they just keep getting there and just keep losing in the conference championship or losing in the Super Bowl, and they're 5 years into this thing and they've gone to 5 straight NFC championship games and they can't get over the hump. There's a problem. Like, okay, what are we doing, boys? Like, this isn't fun anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like this is not fun.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Boone. It'd be kind of fun. It would be irritating, but I might take. I'm gonna be honest. I wouldn't be mad at making the finals and losing. At least you're in the Super Bowl. Hey, I don't know. Maybe that's a loser mentality, but I think making it's pretty good.
It'd be better than going 4-12.
Yeah, that's fair. Booner, you got the shit. Look at this.
Can you guys hear me? I do want Isaiah to know the Detroit Lions will win a Super Bowl before the 49ers do again. That will be a fact. And I promise you that, Isaiah. Isaiah, me and you are friends now. We are acquaintances now. We're going to be talking for the next 12 months, and I promise you the Detroit Lions will win a Super Bowl before your 49ers win their Super Bowl. I promise you that.
I like it, Boone. Like it.
Thank you. Shades are here. Shades are back.
The shades, it's essential.
Come out only on special occasions.
Well, we'll get to mailbag in a second here. So please get your questions ready. Even you, Isaiah, do you have any questions?
I know no one cares, but Edmonton's fucked, Booner. They're losing. It's over.
Hockey's still going on.
Still okay.
Yep.
I've kind of given up on both the playoffs, hockey and NBA.
Well, the Mavericks are down 3-0.
Yeah.
Edmonton's about to be down 3-0.
It's like the worst 2 series of all time.
But
sucks. It's
to be fair, McDavid are on their way, and they've been playing very well throughout the playoffs. Same thing with Edmonton, but I think it was more of a fluke because the way their defense is playing and the way their goaltending actually is, I'm just not sure how they actually made it here. They had a tough road, so props to them, but they're getting exposed right now.
Yeah, all I know is the football season or the football off season is trash. It's been so bad. outside of UConn winning the national championship. We've got nothing. We've got no good NBA finals. We've got no good NHL finals. There's been no good nothing. The NBA playoffs in general have sucked outside of maybe the Timberwolves series.
Bro's claiming turf now.
Yeah, True Teller says, I told you guys Celtics had more than enough depth to beat the Mavs yesterday. True Teller, you were right. And the Celtics are a good team. I don't want to get that twisted. I just thought the Luka stuff. I mean, there is a lot of maturing that he needs to do personally.
Can we agree he's behind Yoke?
Oh yeah. But he should have won MVP this year.
You didn't even want to
won MVP this year, 100%.
Yeah, Luka.
It's a regular season award. He should have won that. But Jokic is still better than him.
You saw what Yoke did to this same Celtics team damn near. Now, granted, Drew Holiday's a big addition, but
he worked him.
What a step to the Celtics team.
He worked him.
Hey, who do you guys think wins Finals MVP? Jaylen Brown.
It better be Jaylen Brown.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think unanimously it should be Jaylen Brown. The way he's playing defensively, too. I mean,
if not Derek White.
Past. That dude is their best two-way player, for sure.
Yeah.
So he's going to get Finals MVP. Celtics probably going to win this thing. And you know what? The Mavericks, Luka, he needed this personally, I think, for his career because, him complaining doesn't help either. I mean, man, I love Luka. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. But holy shit, man. I mean, there's a point where it's like, come on, what are we doing? I mean, the amount of he complains so much. It's actually bad. I know the refs they've been bad, to be honest with you. The referee. Me and you talked about that, Boone, too.
Yeah.
But Luka just complaining does not help at all. And he's been doing that really for beginning of his career. I mean, that's just been who he is. Even regular
Queen.
The complaining is one thing. But you just need to play defense and get back on defense. You can complain from time to time when there's a whistle and it's a dead ball. You're a superstar like Luka. You've earned that right. But it needs to be toned down a little bit, and you need to play fucking defense, especially in the NBA Finals. I know he's supposedly hurt, but he doesn't look hurt when he has the ball in his hand on offense. He only looks hurt when he's trying to play defense.
They're abusing him, by the way. I mean, we had that discussion who the Mavericks are going to try and take advantage of. Should have been talking about who the Celtics want to take advantage of, and that's Luka. Like, they're putting that man in a blender.
It's
like
bad.
It's bad.
It is a bit embarrassing.
It is.
Yeah, they're abusing that man.
So. It has been though, like this the refs. I know we were talking about it last night when we were off the show. The refs, it's a little embarrassing that the NBA, like, if you've watched game 2 and game 3, outside of the Luka stuff, it's very obvious that like where the calls are going to, and it's like it's super obvious, and like outside of the Luka stuff, like the other Dallas players are getting absolutely hammered. And they're getting no calls, and then they're trying to play defense on the other side, and they barely touch a player, and it's called boom right away. Or like I think it was PJ Washington or someone set a screen down the stretch when they were down 3, and it was a clean screen. Holiday. Yeah, clean screen, and then he just falls, and they call a foul. It's just like one of the things I cannot stand in sports, especially when it comes down to championships, like in the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals or NHL Finals or whatever it is. I can't stand when refs try to control the game. They're like that. You could do that in the regular season if you want. Don't care. Stay out of it when it comes to winning like a championship type of series. Stay out of it. Let the players decide it. Like if you start to get a little whistle happy, know to back off a little bit and be like, okay, hey guys, like fellas, let's calm down a little bit. We're a little whistle happy right now towards one side. Let's let the guys play it out because you want a real champion. Like that game should have been won by the Mavs yesterday, and the refs just absolutely just. They controlled the whole game at the end of the day.
Well,
like,
that's what you need.
That's
to be,
not what
Booner.
you want.
That's what you need to be. An NBA ref.
Zero chance I could ever do that.
You need to be a ref. I want to see what happens when Booner calls a charge.
Oh, I can call. I get good charge call.
You know what though, Boone? I don't think the ESPN they don't want this thing to be done in 4 games either. So that's all leagues though. You want this thing to kind of be dragged out a little bit. And when you have a lot of those 50-50 calls, they typically go to the team that needs them. That's usually how that works. And all the calls went to the Celtics, which was
all of them for 2 straight games. It's embarrassing. It's not fun to watch.
Let's get into mailbag. We have some questions. First, I want to acknowledge Stephen Clark became a Crunch member while we were having some discussions here. So shout out to you, Stephen. Shout out to Christina as well. She became a Crunch member. Ed O'Neill, $2. Thank you for that. Ed, he says, compare Lions record versus Green Bay since 2011 to Bears. Damn. That's all you need to do, Ed. Speaking on what we talked about earlier with the Bears. And now to get into some of these questions, we'll start. Suspenseful Habits says, mailbag, do you think we re-sign Iffy or Carlton Davis?
It's a great question.
I mean, probably Carlton Davis. I think you have Brian Branch, you have Kirby Joseph. There's more depth in that safety room right now. I mean, but if you lose him, that's a tough conversation to have. I don't know, man. I think probably what would be more likely, honestly, is they let Carlton walk because they just drafted Terrion and Rakestraw, and you have a Meek for 3 years. So probably.
I agree.
I think it depends on how those two guys, how they feel about them after this season. You know, like if you feel like Ennis Rakestraw is taking a step forward and kind of getting his feet wet and he's all good, then maybe you move on. And then same with Terrion. Like if you think Terrion can turn into the CB1 by year 2, then I think you're comfortable to move on from Carlton, because Carlton's going to cost some money too, fellas. Like especially if he has a good year this year, he's probably and you will win a Super Bowl and you hit your expectations. He's going to cost some money. So that's an interesting one. I almost would say Carlton. To Lucas's point, the safety room is stacked, and you can always move guys around. Like you've seen the Lions move a lot of guys from corner to safety and be, very successful at it. But that corner problem has not been very hard for them to solve. So if you have a corner like Carlton Davis in the building who ends up being really, really good, and you can pair him with Terrion Arnold on a rookie contract, mind you, on a rookie deal, so you can pay your other corner. I think that it's fair to do that. Because you're going to have to play Brian Branch at some point.
Let's see. ETN says, mailbag, can we organize a bet for who has a better year between Kyron and Gibbs before the year starts? And can Lucas actually follow through with the bet when he loses it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what would be good stake.
Is he shaking right now in his boots?
I'm not shaking. I am not shaking whatsoever.
He's already thinking about wearing that Michigan gear and how much he regrets it.
That's gonna be disgusting to do.
A whole year without.
Yeah, I would happily put a bet on it. ETN, drop what you want the stakes to be for it.
Be like, who has more? Maybe rushing yards is a little unfair.
I think there's
total yards. If Kyron Williams is a better back than Jahmyr Gibbs, he should have more total yards, especially he's not splitting the backfield. I mean, there was one game when Ronnie Rivers had four snaps on the field. Snaps, not even carries, snaps. And the rest went to Kyron Williams. So he better have more total yards than Jahmyr Gibbs.
That's fair.
Ronnie Rivers instead of David Montgomery. Imagine.
You can bet something in the shop, Lucas. If he loses,
we'll throw something up.
You grab him, whatever, and vice versa. If not, he has to buy something.
That guy of North Millbank,
Jersey
Pistons mock draft at 5 update. Who you taking at 5? No trades. I mean, at this point, a guy I do like. I'm starting to like even more. Zachary Reese-Shea. Yep. We'll go watch his tape. That's your homework, Booner. I'm giving you homework now.
Text me the name so I know, please.
I got you. I like Zachary Modest. I know he's in that conversation. Don't connect, wouldn't be opposed. It wouldn't excite me. So there's some options there. Ed O'Neill, mailbag, name your starting 11 on defense and rank the defenses in the North. How about we just rank the defenses? Starting 11 is a little aggressive.
That's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot.
Great question, though.
What do you guys think? Rank the defenses?
Yeah. Probably go Bears 1. I'd go Packers with a new DC. That's interesting. I'm gonna go Vikings 4th. I'll put it that much. So I'll probably go with the Lions 2 and Packers 3. I just want to see what the Packers defense looks like with the new DC, because they were definitely worse than the Lions last year. I know they were better against the pass, but they were pretty tragic overall, I think.
Jeffrey, Enriquez, Iafrate?
I'll go. I got Lions 1.
That's combining 2
or
names.
No, Lions 2, Bears 1, Packers 3, Vikings 4.
I agree with Mike. That was mine, to be honest. So
I'm
I agree with that.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go the Chicago Bears number 1, the Detroit Lions number 2, the Packers 3, and the Vikings 4.
We agree.
On the same one.
Do we all just have the same one?
Yep.
All right, I think that's pretty fair. And I think
see, we're not always on the opposite side of you, Boone. Look at that.
No, we're not. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Let's go. I do think by week 5 or 6, I think you can argue the Lions. Like, I cannot wait to see what happens with these defenses. Like, do the Lions take an uphill? Do they end up kind of moving forward here with this defense and take that jump that we're talking about? And is the Bears defense as good as people think that it is? Just because they have all these names. That's the interesting thing to me.
Vision Stealth, thank you for the $5. Says Isaiah, you can only talk if you're alive during those Super Bowls. Well, that's
whoa. Isaiah did say, by the way, Isaiah, I did see this in the chat. He said, "You guys are a wannabe Kansas City Chiefs." Well, let's be honest. So are you guys. You guys have been trying to beat the Chiefs for a Super Bowl for how long? Have not been able to do it.
Yeah, and I think he also said that the Lions fans act like they've won a bunch of Super Bowls. Isn't that what the 49ers, at least in this era, isn't that kind of what the 49ers are?
49ers and Cowboys fans,
One player on your team won a Super Bowl with the 49ers. Like you guys haven't won a Super Bowl since the 90s.
Yeah, which is honestly still good, by the way.
People don't hate Niners fans, but when you start talking and acting like this, you start acting like a Cowboys fan, and that's when it gets annoying.
Yeah, that's not a great.
We don't like Cowboys fans in Detroit.
We do appreciate Isaiah for joining the chat too, and we appreciate all of you guys for joining the chat. We will be back tomorrow for a Great Friday show. Until then, you guys stay safe out there. Get your merch. Official CT Pod, or excuse me, officialctsports.com. Get your merchandise. You see the hat Mike's rocking. Supposed to get my shirt tomorrow, so I'm excited for that. Until tomorrow, we'll see you guys.
Peace. Love you guys.